Welcome back to Six Invitational 2020! We've had a great day so far. We've watched some epic games. We've watched a fun show match. We had some commendations given to amazing people in the Rainbow Six community, and now we're about to take one step closer to crowning our champion. Are you ready for our next match? Good, me too. Let's welcome our teams. First, please welcome to the stage, Ninjas in Pyjamas! Sometimes these teams need a little more help than that. Are you ready? Give them a loud cheer. Please welcome Ninjas in Pyjamas! With Psycho, Kamikaze, Pino, Musi, Julio, and Bob. Let's get to know them a little bit right now. Let's welcome to the stage, DarkZero Esports! With Skies, Hot and Cold, Mint, Hyper, Eclipse, and BC. And let's get to know them a little bit as well.
I'm Julio, I'm from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and I'm the support player.
It's Hot and Cold from DarkZero Esports.
They see G2, they play a little scary, you know, because like, oh, they're the champions, they play aggressive. So we don't think like that and just play our game. We never know that we're gonna win this game, you know? We know that we are in better shape, but like, they are G2. We need to play round by round, and that like we threw the match point round, but like we maintain calm and got the match.
Yeah, it was against Space Station. We lost 0-2. I think we had some communication issues going into it, and they had some very good counter strats, and I think that's why we lost. Just keeping the right mindset. Obviously, we know that's that's not the end. Losing is fine. I think we just got to use it and try and learn from it. Use that to going into our next game, and get back to the grand finals and get our rematch.
DarkZero overall, they have a pretty solid organization. Like the owner, the coach, the gaming house. That's the thing I praise the most about them. They're pretty organized, and it's the same thing in game. They're pretty organized. They have like good strats. We need to break their defense. This castle.
Our next game is against NIP. They are a very aggressive team. Brazilian play style. I think if they're not hitting their shots, then we could take advantage of that. And yeah, I think that's going to be their strength and weakness going into it.
Every player likes to play on the stage because of that. You feel the emotion of the crowd, and I think that's something special. We make the playoffs, but not the stage. Come on, man. We need to get to the stage.
No, I think just be ready, because we're gonna be gunning.
Welcome back. Well, can we hear us? Can they hear us now? Yes, they can. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Six Invitational. And yes, it's the analyst desk for our final matchup of today. It's NIP versus DarkZero, Latin America's final hope, versus one of the 3 North American teams that are still in the tournament. Definitely heating up here. Welcome to the desk. I'm Bastian Melchfinch. With me are 2 of the best in the business, even though Emzo might be sad at me saying that. It's Mr. Zeronic and, of course, Jess. How you guys doing?
I'm just kind of glad that the real players get to play now, because I've showed how not to play Siege, so now it's their time to show how to.
Well, at least you can analyze, and you're here to show everyone what that's about.
All right, well, we're going to dig deeper into this matchup here. We'll start off with our roster. So I guess we have NIP's roster here. Up first, we're going to talk about them and what they are bringing for this game. Julio, Musi, Psycho, Pino, and Kamikaze. The entire team has definitely been playing together completely differently than what we used to see them in the past. NIP has had a very rough couple of years making it and even playing at international lands. And I guess Bob the Builder sitting behind them has definitely been racking things up for NIP.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to Bob the other day, actually, and I said, what is it about your team that you feel is just propelling them forward throughout the groups? And he said to me, the boys just kind of turn around and go, we want new. We know we can adapt as we need to, and the boys are very capable of that. And he said, that's what they're doing. They're adapting whenever they damn want. Even the round before, they don't even know exactly what they're going to run until the mid-round, and I think that's amazing.
I mean, not only have they proven it through the play so far, but if you listen to the stories of other players here, the scrim stories are horror stories, right? Like, people are actually afraid of NIP.
All right, well, their opponents, DarkZero, they'll be joining them on this battlefield here today. And of course, all 5 players, Hyper, Hot and Cold, Skies, Mint, Eclipse, and their coach, BC, sitting behind them. BC played on this big stage. He knows what it's like to be in the shoes of his players today. But DarkZero, they've definitely been stepping up in terms of North America. In Milan, Alex, you, me, and Dev Marta were sitting there and saying, watch out for DarkZero. They might have gotten knocked out here in Pro League, but mark my words, end of 2019, early 2020, there'll be something else.
Yeah, and I think they've showed that so far, right? They picked up Skies. That's a pretty big deal because he's a player that's a little bit more aggressive than you'd normally see in something like DC, where it's very structured. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes in the long run, if they can make that extremely different type of player fit into that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Skies is one of those sort of asterisks you put next to the roster and say he's one of those ones to watch, and I think we've seen that throughout the groups.
Speaking of asterisks, we'll be putting up 2 here, 1 for each team. We'll be kind of putting 1-to-1 head-to-head, and there's Kamikaze and Mint. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to explain why specifically this choice of players in this case?
Well, so we have both IGLs from each team, and they do happen to be the same smoke players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Mint, I think he brings a lot to his team. Obviously, we spoke about Deezy being extremely structured. That comes into having a really proficient IGL as well, and that's why we can see them being so clinical sometimes. Also,
being positive as in kill-death ratio as an IGL is very difficult. Yep. There's few people that are really able to do it consistently, and when you're able to give information, call strats, and put frags on the board, that's pretty impressive.
A fun thing to notice is that Kamikaze has 9 plants. Hot and Cold has 18.
Oh my god.
So Hot and Cold has 18 plants by himself, and the entire team of NIP has only planted 14 times so far.
All right, well, let's take a look at our maps as we dig deeper into this series. Of course, a best of 3 series here on the main stage. We'll start off with a Ban, Pick, Ban, and our cider is map number 7, Bank and Clubhouse. So the first 2 removed, with NIP starting off the ban phase. Nothing too surprising there, knowing Latin America's strength as well on Clubhouse, specifically NIP after the Thatcher bans. Border will be the first one, which we don't see that often, but again, LATAM, NIP, very comfortable on what we used to consider a default map. Coastline, still very technical, a lot of self-destruction. DarkZero will be the ones to pick it. NIP are gonna ban next, which means DarkZero will have the final say on the decider map. And which one will they go for? Come on. Apiece. Villa is out. Okay, not too surprising still. Highly technical, DarkZero, very comfortable on maps like that, which means we're left with Consulate as our final map as DarkZero moves Cafe Dostoyevsky.
I think it's interesting that both NIP and DC banned one of the maps that are their most banned maps, and then they picked one of their most banned maps, both of them.
Yeah.
So what does that usually say? Because we've seen a lot of teams doing that, and there may be something hidden around the side, right?
I do want to point out that border pick, I should say, from Nip there. That's actually extremely interesting because Deezy has a very good history on border, and I'm wondering if they've just sat down, popped the screen out with the whole team and said, all right, here's all of the matches that they've won and been undefeated on. Let's just completely counter-strat them. And if that's what they've done, we're in for an exciting matchup.
Exactly, because you can counter your opponents in the ban phase, or you can do it with some strategies in it. And IP have definitely been the team to bring things a bit out of the box when it comes to the region to adapt, even though sometimes I think their biggest difficulty has been closing out the games, Alex.
Yeah, but I mean, it helps if you end up picking some maps that are, you know, a lot of data on, then you can prepare things a lot better and you might not stall as much.
That's very true.
So sometimes maybe playing a harder map, but having that much more info on it will help a ton, right?
Absolutely.
These are two completely different play styles between the two teams, Jess, right? How do you compare this? Because we saw these in similar ways in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm really concerned for DZ with that border pick because NIP is an extremely quick team. They get in, they know exactly what they want to do. That horizontal gameplay, I would say they probably top tier here at the final stages of this SI 2020. So I think what we're going to be seeing is them probably going as fast as possible. And if they're counter-stratting and they're going fast, we're going to see the round over before we've even reached the halfway mark.
I'm more worried about the Coastline because DC has saved it all the way up to Invite, and now they've played it quite a few times already.
Operator bans, though, on border. What do you expect?
Gotta get that Nomad out, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
So you're a bit more free to contest the sandwich window and the ventilation roof. I think that's the main one. Nip can probably hit them pretty hard with the Thatcher ban because they're used to it, and it's not as common for a team like DC.
Yeah, I think DZ will just go with their common thermite ban, stick with the Hibana, do what they do best, and then, yeah, if they stick with that and they do what they know best rather than trying to alter it, I think they'll see a better outcome.
All right, well, speaking of outcomes, what do you think this is going to be like? Again, map 1 border.
Unfortunately, border is a map where you're outside the map and then suddenly you're inside. You have no opportunity to do anything else. So with Nip going as fast as they are, and considering they picked a very good map of DZs, they know what they're up against. So I'm very scared for DZ.
Yeah, on border, I'm gonna have to believe that Nip has this really well planned out because it's a long ban map for them, and you got to be ready if you pull that out.
All right, thank you so much for your information and your input. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll be back after this map here on the Analyst Desk to break it down. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for map number 1, our second series of the day and of Six Invitational 2020 on the main stage. Are you ready? Êtes-vous prêts, Montréal? Let's go! Kicks and Taro on the border.
Thank you so very much. Our final matchup here, and we will say goodbye to yet another team. The crowd was very much behind DarkZero, but there's some trouble in the water here. Nip has been this formidable, feared team that nobody has wanted to play. Are we about to see a North American team go home, or will the last Brazilian team get removed from this tournament, Michael?
It could go either way, Parker. This one is going to be darn exciting just because of that. Ninjas and Pyjamas have been an upset squad through this tournament. DarkZero, on the other hand, they've been fulfilling expectations, long-held expectations, and proving themselves worthy. And I think it's a really interesting story to see the last LATAM team fighting for their lives as well. There's a lot riding on this for Nip. DarkZero, same thing though. We're gonna get the bans underway, Thermite and Thatcher, so you know it's gonna be an interesting border.
Team records coming in, both squads with victories here at the Six Invitational, a 7-2 for Ninjas and Pyjamas over G2, and then DarkZero with a 7-5 over BDS. No team, obviously, have dropped this map, so somebody is going to lose it at some point. Things get grim for Ninjas and Pyjamas on Coastline. This has been one of DarkZero's most played maps, and Nip, the only time they played it, they barely skated by G2. It was really tight. It was an 8-7. So those are the two maps. If you expect that both these teams are going to win it, that gives us Consulate, which has been one of the most played maps in this entire event, and Nip's most played map, period. So both these teams will be playing their most played maps.
Yes, they will be playing maps that they're very accustomed to, and I expect it to make this series quite interesting. When we get to that last one too, I mean, Consulate, that is so exciting. You talked about it yourself. It's been frequently played by both of these teams. I just really hope we get to go there. This would be a shame to see as a 2-0. Ventilation Room Workshop, the primary bomb site for DZ to start things off here. We'll see how that goes for them as they begin on defensive border. Ninjas in Pyjamas bringing a pretty standard loadout. Interesting, they're going to actually rotate the Nomad into the Dokkaebi. That is different, to be honest. And I agree with Zoronic. He mentioned on the analyst desk that Nomad is a really powerful operator on this map, and that she not only enables you to play better when clearing the top floor for roamers, but also when you're executing onto Armory. So having her no longer there is going to be different for NiP. It means they are altering their strategy quite deliberately. We'll see what that actually shows us.
DZ banned Capitao and Mira the last time they came here, and well, taking out Thermite is going to force Kamikaze onto Hibana. Now, we've also seen teams attack on border, regardless of the site, just running a Maverick, not running a Thermite, not running a Hibana. It's actually seen a pretty high amount of teams do that, at this event in particular, in comparison to Pro League. But this is an interesting setup up top.
Yeah.
3 members for DarkZero, 4 members for DarkZero, 1 downstairs. A number of teams run a strategy similar to this, and if you look at the lineup from DarkZero, it's a lot of staples in the current meta. Mute Mozzie to deny information, cut off the ability for teams to drone effectively, and then Mint to soak up tons of utility as that castle.
You even got the Kai being brought, using them on the drops in CCTV, or at least one of them. It's an interesting decision there for DZ. A little bit of action, as you can see. Sky's holding onto an angle into CCTV window. This will get a kill, and yes, there it is. Sky's the first kill of the series. DarkZero start things off with a bang.
We've seen cheeky angles like that used quite effectively. You sit underneath and just watch the window or watch a doorway, and if you don't do proper drone work, then you pay for it, just as we saw Musi do. And Musi in particular has been a standout performer for Ninjas in Pyjamas, so him being benched so early on in round number 1 is not ideal for the rest of these teams' chances.
After that kill came in, you could tell that DarkZero got a little bit more passive. They've fallen back primarily to the armory area upstairs. Oh, look at that angle being held, though. That's going to do some damage to Psycho. He doesn't even know where he was getting shot from. Wary of the angles that DZ have proven themselves to bring out in well, I mean, just in this round, actually. Lots of sneaky little ones that you've got to be ready for. Sky's still roaming in custom, so if Psycho's going to come in through Passport, he might have to confront this. That is going to be a large hurdle.
There goes some of the wall as well into customs, as you mentioned, the Ash charge blowing it up. And with the way that teams tend to play on land and the aim that you find mechanically for both of these squads, it's unlikely that Psycho, if he ends up in an altercation, will walk away victorious with how little HP he has. Perfect time for a Logic Bomb to stop the members of DarkZero, but there it is. Psycho gets drawn right into Sky's second kill with the Tcsg in hand.
Beautiful peel off there from Skies. You could tell he had planned out his route. He knew where he was going to fall back when the Passport pressure came in, and he got that kill as he waited on the angle. Ninjas in Pyjamas setting up for the Vents take, but they don't have anything really going for themselves, so they're going to have to hope that those nades land some kills.
Part of the Dokkaebi 6 pick is that she brings frags, no smokes, and no Jaeger shown from DarkZero unless it was 6 picked on. 2 means that you have relative impunity when you can just toss in any of those frag grenades. But NiP's biggest struggles will be on that second floor. They don't have any control, so instead it will be a linear push. Sky's third kill, swiftly removed by Pino to at least get his teammates back. More damage being done to Ninjas in Pyjamas. Soft destruction from Pino, that's well played. He'll have to watch Julio as the Defuser goes down. The Dokkaebi falls off for just a moment. They don't have control above. Marks inside of the site. The Mozzie will drop. It's all up to Pino, or Julio rather. They both go down. DarkZero at the very first round.
Big round there for DZ. They played around the way Ninjas in Pyjamas came in for the execution throughout. You can see the crowd is very happy about that round number 1.
Was it just me, or did NiP, with the exception of taking monitors for but a brief moment, have zero effort in clearing that second floor? They committed to it with just the first floor. That was it. Nothing on the second floor, one bit.
Yeah, it was curious, Parker, because they tried to take in CCTV, like you said, hit the wall, Skies below, manages to get that kill. And by the way, the presence that you're exerting upstairs by being downstairs and then pushing that take is curious. I think that's on NiP's shoulders. The way that they diverted that attack is just, I don't know if it was the best play overall, because it now leaves you not only exposed to the presence above, but also you haven't done anything with the site because you don't have that top-down pressure that you can, reposition the anchors with. So everything kind of went awry for Nip, and it really did all start with that initial kill from Skies. I think that Nip probably would have had a better round if they had committed fully to that top floor clear, and it would have been difficult, but better chances in the long run.
Musi obviously having a great gun in hand is one thing, but additionally the IQ when going up against the electronic overload lineup that we saw from DarkZero, he's going to be able to point things out and guide the rest of the team in. Now, it's Kamikaze who's going to be doing primary shot calling for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but obviously you can have a little bit of help from somebody like Musi, and we will always point out that he tends to be one of the best players on Ninjas in Pyjamas, so losing him was extremely detrimental. How much of that push was structured around him clearing that second floor, maybe with one or two other members of NIP, we don't exactly know.
Yeah. Musi is one of those players that I think really has a presence on a roster that you have to pay attention to. Whether you like it or not, you come into just starting to watch Ninjas in Pyjamas, not knowing them very well, and then you watch one map and it's, oh yeah, Musi. You gotta give him that attention. He's been proving himself a formidable asset for Ninjas in Pyjamas throughout this tournament. We'll see when he starts to pop off, and I do say when because I expect it to happen. Now, Teller's defense is a little bit different for Deezy, and I say different, but really what I mean is it's the new wave, because at this tournament, Teller's has been extremely popular on Border, which is a map that typically doesn't get played in Comp Siege, but here in Montreal, it gets played quite frequently.
I think part of that is teams saying the same thing that we say. Border tends to be a little bit played out. You know how you're going to take either Armory or Archives if that's the bomb site. You know how you're going to take Vents or Workshops. There isn't a lot of new strategies being brought to either of those sites. And because of this, well, you have to think of something new. We saw Customs have a brief moment in the spotlight, but that was when Mira was available. Yeah. Most teams ban Mira, as we see. It was Ninjas in Pyjamas who banned her in this match. So you have to expect to not play around her. And when both of these teams played Border in the Six Invitational in groups and then Stage 2, Mira was banned both times as well. That pushes Customs out and allows teams to thrive on Bathroom and Tellers.
You can see Ninjas in Pyjamas joining out Suicide, trying to find out if there's anyone playing that position. DZ, though, not really heavy on the presence in Office. They are holding the top floor firm, but they are not where you typically would be on this bomb site, to be honest. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a little bit confused, it seems, as to where they want to execute because they don't know where the opponent is. There is a Mozzie on the board, but the mute has been rotated out, so less information denial here on DZ than the first round.
Musi's biggest focus is going to be finding those black eye cams that Hot and Cold has thrown around the map. It was marking every member of Ninjas in Pyjamas, the remaining two that were in sight on round number 1. A down that is now finished off as Skies was crawling for help. He gets finished with a frag grenade tossed on out from Psycho, who now does some soft destruction work and nearly catches Eclipse as well.
That's almost the entire top floor cleared out. There's just Eclipse in Armory, and Ninjas in Pyjamas, as soon as they realize that, correction, Eclipse in Armory and Hot and Cold at top of main stairs. He gets one on Metal. He'll fall back. Beautiful play there from Hotton. He will preemptively refrag Eclipse as Psycho finishes off that kill upstairs. That's Hotton trying to maintain control, and Hyper doing the same thing, but this time from the drop. Psycho goes down.
So far through 2 rounds, this vertical play from DarkZero has been exceptional. They've been able to find the members of Ninjas in Pyjamas either above or below, depending on what floor they are defending. This advantage, though, is gone. So 3v3, 30 seconds remaining, and you don't really have a ton of utility, it seems. But inside of the site, there's the Hibana of Kamikaze. If he can go for a plant up against a reinforced wall, maybe he'll be able to do something. There it goes. A second for Hot and Cold onto Musi, so the coverage that you would expect for the Defuser is now 1 less. There's Julio as Kamikaze manages to get away with that Defuser planted. Julio up top, and Kamikaze sitting near said Defuser. It is in front of a reinforced wall, so there is no wallbang potential, but they'll wait. Out pops Hyper, that is ill-advised. Kamikaze is waiting. The Type 89 makes very quick work of him. Hot and Cold, who's got 2 kills so far, will need to shoulder a bit more weight, but he might be next in line for the Hibana waiting. He's very exposed to the hatch above. Does he start the defuse? The better question is, where is Mint? Trying to retake and distract, so Hot and Cold might have cover, but no! Both members of DarkZero ultimately fall at the hands of Julio. And it's an answer back after losing round 1 for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Okay, so a couple things there. That was an interesting round. The biggest thing is that DarkZero's presence upstairs was very light. Now, my initial thoughts on this were, that's going to cause them to lose the round just when Ninjas in Pyjamas sweep in, take control, establish flank watch, use those Nomad air jabs to prevent the rotate up. It'll be fine. Deezy, they'll consolidate. They'll just lose that round because they cannot hold upstairs. But Ninjas in Pyjamas came upstairs, they took control, and then DZ getting aggressive on top metal, getting aggressive on the drop downs. They actually made that clear hurt for Ninjas in Pyjamas. And it was definitely interesting how DZ did that, very different than what we're used to seeing. The, I guess, preemptive retake, it's kind of strange. But then the real problem, the serious flaw in DZ's defense is their control of tellers. It was non-existent. And yeah, okay, I get it. If you want to let the enemy take tellers from above, that's fine if it's a trap, and that trap worked out for DZ. But then Ninjas in Pyjamas realized, oh, they don't have any site control. We can just plant. There's nothing stopping us. Then what happened? DZ, they panic. They come out with an impact onto the teller's wall. C4 follows it up. All of that misses. Plant goes down, post-plant, almost unlosable in that 2 versus 3 for Nip.
What went from a very strong round from DarkZero, once again playing those openings exceedingly well. Watching below, we saw Hyper do good work with it in round number 2. In round number 1, it was Skies to start things off. And then you lose control. Such is the way and the folly of bathroom tellers, because when you start to lose it, you lose it quickly. You don't really have anywhere to go. The site is focused, you know, in such a way that when you lose control of the top floor, you have to go through 2 windows. If teams reinforce that wall, as we saw DarkZero do, you can't rotate through it. There's no real rotate over towards Passport or Customs either, because most teams are not going to open that wide up, because then that gives too much advantage to the attackers. So DarkZero held on as long as they could, but unfortunately for them, it wasn't long enough. This is really cheeky. It will just touch the 1 wall.
Oh, he's trying to get it.
That's a bit of a miss. Can Mint get it back? That's the real question.
No, I don't think he can. He just, oh, he can!
Yay!
It's a save from Mint. He'll be able to get the wall.
No, they don't care.
And that's going to, it's okay, Parker, I care.
Thanks, Michael.
It will electrocute the wall eventually, thanks to that just narrow save there from Mint. That could have been a lot of wasted utility. For those of you who don't know, those Electroclaws that you can see Kaid throwing will electrocute the wall and prevent things like hard destruction, unless, of course, there's a Maverick in play. In this case, there isn't. It's Habana. So Ninjas in Pyjamas will have to go through that. Because Thatcher is banned, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to get the Electroclaw directly, whether that be by shooting it from below or just going in through the door. You've got options.
That's part of why a Thatcher ban is so critical for the defenders to be able to play off of that. It was Nip who banned Thatcher, so the idea is that they know how to play around it, and they're not going to be too caught up by what we see at a DarkZero's setup. Missed opportunity onto the Maestro Hot and Cold, who engages with the C8 in the hands of Pino, and the Aldo will obviously win that most of the times, but not in that case. Can't shoot the backpack, doesn't do any damage.
Ninjas in Pyjamas have taken half of the round to get control of CCTV and outside of Armory Wall. These are strong positions to hold when you go for that Armory execution, but they now have the hurdle of those Electroclaws to deal with. It's a nade in to try and get it. They know exactly where it is, but they know where both of them are, but it's still so difficult with the way that DZ has set this up. A very smart hold there from DZ when it comes to the Electroclaws, but they're going to have to deal with the IQ from below now, and that should get them. We don't know, though. As remember that Electroclaw was placed near a shelf. That might block it for IQ. And you can also see Hot and Cold covering the cross, which is going to make it difficult for Musi to get in. Hot gets off the angle, though, and that was just a little bit too late as Psycho pushed in.
Analysts talked about how Nip is so formidable and fearsome when they start attacking, and they can just cut right through you with very minimal contest. But Nip also tends to be on the other side of the coin, which is that they stall out, and when they stall out, they don't go anywhere. They don't push at all. And Pino, who pushes, well, he's going to get knifed by Eclipse. There's your opening pick. First blood for DarkZero in round 3.
That's a big kill there for Eclipse. And as I'm sure you're all noting here, there's only 30 seconds left in this round. So Ninjas in Pyjamas, who have failed to open the Armory Wall, are now going to have to struggle to deal with not only the roamers downstairs, but also the anchors on the site. It's not going to be an easy order for Nip, and you can see that they're not in a great position to win it out. There's a kill for Mint, so DZ up 2 men now. Musi making his way in through office. Prone springs into action with the rest of his teammates near behind. Nice shot there from Musi, but he only gets one. There's the refrag from Mint, who gets his second in the round. Hyper's in Archives. He'll pick up a kill, and there's the second. Deezy will take their second round.
Ninjas in Pyjamas got so caught up by that armory wall that they had no time to be able to adapt to it. And by the time that they did, there was only 40, 50 seconds that were left on the clock, and you go through Archives. But you've got players downstairs for DarkZero. You can't really attack the way you want to, knowing that there's still retake potential, because you can't watch East Stairs and you can't watch Main Stairs. In fact, Main Stairs was where one member of DarkZero was sitting and very patiently waiting, and it wasn't until, what, 20 seconds left in the round that we saw Nip finally be able to get their footing. It was way too late at that point. They'd lost 2 members down below. The clear failed. Really well, I guess, orchestrated by DZ to have their forces split on that second floor as well as the bottom floor.
As much as Nip did lose that round, I have to commend them for trying to adapt to their opponent, and they addressed all the issues that DZ were presenting as quickly as possible. And that's the real issue there, isn't it? Because DZ presented so many little problems to Ninjas in Pyjamas that, oh, Nip now has to go and solve this. Oh, now it's this, now it's that. And you're moving through a checklist that gets longer and longer as you go on. You saw that at around maybe 30 seconds, Nip were like, oh, it's just too much. We have to go for the kills. And they tried their best. And maybe if they had gotten some of those engagements going their way, it would have actually been a Nip round, but just too much to choose through. And DZ take it. Though, again, I do have to commend Nip for trying to address the issues in the ways that they did. A lot of teams, they just get stumped and they start throwing themselves in through the doorway into Armory. Not so for Nip. Now, it is going to be a ventilation defense here for DZ. This is the second time they've gone here. The first round, DZ actually managed to win the first round in this map. Now, there is, once again, a Mutemazi and Castle combination. The Kai's been especially useful, too, because of that Thatcher ban. I wonder, it was Ninjas in Pyjamas who banned Thatcher, right? I wonder if they expected that. I wonder if DZ expected that. Because, I mean, it's working really great since the Thatcher ban came out.
I mean, Thatcher was banned when Nip played on Border against G2, but it was banned by G2. So it's not exactly it's not exactly something that's uncommon for Ninjas in Pyjamas, because, I mean, Nip plays in Brazil, and Brazil loves to ban Thatcher.
Yeah.
Especially on this map. So,
I mean, they have very frequently banned that Thatcher, that's for sure. As, like you said, it's that LATAM region mentality. If you can get rid of it, it makes it really difficult. In fact, after I'm looking at their record over the last few months or so, it's their most banned operator.
Well, in this case, obviously, Nip had a strategy to deal with it, as when you ban the operator that you rely on the most, or you know, your opponents ban the operator that you rely on the most, you're going to know how to play around it. Hyper plays around Pino, but Hyper loses the fight. Nip, first blood, 1 minute in.
Both of these teams have traded those opening kills, and if you're new to Rainbow Six Esports, what that means is, you know, that opening kill, it usually will have a large part of the outcome of the rounds. And if you get the first kill, you've got around about a 70% chance of winning it statistically. It depends on the team, of course, but right now, Nip are making it even better as they eliminate Eclipse in Archives.
Too many members of DarkZero isolated upstairs with no trade capabilities. Musi wasn't able to get traded off either. The members of Nip that were still there, as you can see, 2 inside of offices, droning out hot and cold, and he gets pushed from 90 as Pino lords over top of this team in break room. 2 members of DZ, neither of whom have a good loadout in regards to 1v1 gunfights, a Tcsg and a UMP. That's rough to rely upon.
Massive props there to Ninjas in Pyjamas. That was a great adaptation when you compare to the way that they attacked this site in the first round. You can see they cleared out the top floor, and they did it from the opposite end of the building, coming in from offices and break room, opening up that wall, cutting up the rotation for the players on defense in office and archives. Now, Nip are just going to open from above, and these last 2 defenders shouldn't have much of a chance.
Mint gets spotted out, wins the fight against Pino. That's a beautiful one. It doesn't matter how bad the gun is if you hit him in the head. Now the Buck will assume, or the Maverick will assume the position of where the Buck was. He'll dance around the holes created by the skeleton key. Skies, he's over on the other side of the map, so it's Mint under watch from Nip, and he'll be on the run, heading on over towards detention, sitting and watching the main stairs. This hatch control right now for Nip is deadly, but the clock is working against them. Final push for Nip. Their Psycho dropping, Kamikaze with him. Defuser going down. Julio is also in play. Where is he? He could be the ace in the hole for this team. He's at the main door. Mint's position given away. Skies will have the cross. He gets taken down, and it's a lockout from Nip with Julio yet again. Watching Nip in the post plant. He's been so good, and these teams have now traded rounds. It's 2 apiece.
I really have to be continuously impressed by Ninjas in Pyjamas' ability to isolate plant spots and cover all potential approaches from the defenders to deny the plant. What is the trend for these rounds Nip have won? Well, they've managed to plant that Defuser, whether in the man advantage or the man disadvantage. DZ are trying to retake as the plant comes down. They're doing their best. But the problem is Nip are expecting all of those retakes that come out from DZ, and they're setting up on angles to counter them. In that last round, Nip had man advantage in the plant. Very little chance that DZ would have been able to deny that, though they did try well. We're going to probably move back to ventilation here for DZ, as they have just won their armory defense and won't be able to go there for a good long while. Not only am I impressed by Nip's ability to plant that Defuser, but also, again, their adaptation from the last time they attacked onto ventilation, because last time was just a mess for Nip.
Armory will be up next unless Nip decide they want to go to vents or bathroom yet again, or DZ rather. That's what Armory unlocks, final round. So,
yeah,
vents again.
You get another chance, you know, at the end.
What are you going to do differently if you're DarkZero this time? Well, honestly, a lot of it was just how Nip were able to pick off one member of DarkZero at a time upstairs. DZ was so close to each other, but whether it was because of aggressive drone work from Ninjas in Pyjamas or poor calls or individual calls, aka the attempted hero play from DarkZero, none of them were watching in the same direction from where Nip entered. And as they lost one by one, there was an answer back from DZ, but it was far too late. And then by then, second floor control was very safely in the hands of the Brazilian team.
I think that's really the big story, is that second floor control for sure. I wonder how Nip are going to attack it again, because if they try doing that very same strategy that they just pulled out, I imagine DZ are going to be prepared for that. In both of these squads, we have two teams that are very good at adapting to their opponents. That has been one of the main stories for both teams through this tournament. For DZ, I think it's an abundance of strategy. It's layers of practice and a playbook that is just massive. For Ninjas in Pyjamas, I think it's their ability to identify the issues and work around them on the fly constantly through every map and match that they've played through this tournament. And there's a little bit of both on both teams. Keep that in mind. It's not like Nip didn't prepare for this, and it's not like DZ can't adapt on the fly. We're talking about those real strong suits, the traits that really make these teams special.
There's something to be said for the way that Nip play is very free and very loose, and how hard that can be to strat against and be prepared for. You know, there's not a lot of teams in this tourney who can really walk away and say they've been successful against Nip. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's only TSM that has been able to vanquish them.
They did so in the quarterfinals of the playoffs in that 2-0. That was a really close 2-0 though, so that scoreline really doesn't, I think, pay full respect to the match.
And I mean, TSM is yet to drop a single series, so they're by no means a bad team to have lost to.
Right.
Nip came really close on Consulate, could have seen a third map, didn't, lost by 1 round, and then Cafe was far more definitive in favor of TSM. So, I mean, Nip's adaptations are aggressive, they are very well stratted, and the calling for most rounds for Nip it's been exceptional, especially in that G2 matchup. It wasn't even just that G2 didn't play superbly, it was that Nip were able to read into what G2 was doing and exploit it. And when Bob himself says, you know, a lot of the times the guys don't even know what they're doing halfway through the round, well, if you don't know what you're doing, your opponent sure doesn't either.
So, DarkZero still on top roam, still on a bottom roam as well. They've got players in customs and armory on this ventilation defense. You can tell that DZ is set up in a way that they don't want to control the site as much as they want to control the areas around the site, and that is their key focus. This top floor hold is going to be the main focus for Nip on their attack. We'll see if they can get these two players upstairs. There goes one to trade though. Even, and there's the drop from Eclipse. Probably smart considering we're at 45 seconds left in the round. Pino is going to be able to stop destruct from above. And as that C4 misses from DZ, that's gonna hurt. There's Eclipse too, so not only has C4 gone, but the player himself. Ninjas in Pyjamas in a great spot.
And of course, Nip has subbed out the Heart Breach for the Maverick here, as we'd seen in the previous round. And well, it got them one round. Can it get them a second? They had that advantage, a coveted one. 30 seconds left. Down goes Kamikaze for the plant. He's been able to get 2 offs so far in 4 rounds and tried to get a third but couldn't do it. He won't be able to get one this time. It's by a hair, but Mint is there. Sidearm out. He's been great with pistols and sidearms through this tourney. We've seen it ourselves, especially that Kaid pistol. So now, to the rescue, the rest of Nip will come. Julio tags in. He gets a frag, and down he goes into the plant. Musi and Pino will need to watch. 1 kill for Musi, and 2 kills for Musi. That'll finish that round. Finally, a team has won back-to-back rounds, and it's going to be Nip to do it first on ventilation. Defuser didn't even need to go down, but it was so close. Very well executed.
Parker, I feel like I'm having deja vu here because every single one of these rounds that Nip have won, they've won because they kill the defenders trying to deny a plant. In those crosses, in those setup angles from Nip, DZ are never addressing the fights as well as they should be, to be honest. The one silver lining to that round was the initial plant attempt from Nip this time was stopped, but it just was not enough in the end to win the round. And as much as, again, it was a nice try from DZ, they definitely need to work on assessing a plant from Nip because that's all Nip are using to win rounds. Yeah, okay, they're clearing the top floor. Nip did a good job of that. Honestly, though, it wasn't the best job. They only got 1 kill out of it, and again, it was a trade. You only have 40 seconds left after you clear the top floor. Yeah, you're going to be able to open from above, but what is that really going to net you? Luckily for Nip, in this case, it got them 1 kill. The C4 missed, so okay, everything's starting to work for you. But the real star of the show for Nip's attack is, again, their ability to isolate a plant spot and cover the planter while simultaneously punishing all of the defenders who come to deny that plant. I mean, I feel like a broken record, because that's how Nip have won every round.
We were worried after the very first round that when Musi went down, 4 Ninjas in Pyjamas, they might end up falling off if he has a bad performance. But the stat sheet right now for Nip shows that everybody's pulling their weight. Bear in mind that this is early and it's on attack, where everybody is capable of getting kills. That might change on defense. That's exactly where Nip is going to go after this round. It is an Armory defense for DarkZero, as we had assumed, now that Armory is back open again. And a very similar setup from DarkZero, involving those Electric Claws in positions where Nip's not going to be able to do anything with it. Now, if you're DarkZero, you would likely assume that Nip will read your setup and then immediately go for an Archives take. If that's the case, then DarkZero will be prepared and ready for it. That's where that whole mental one-upsmanship comes in, where you say, oh, well, you know, they're not going to take Armory because it's so strong, so they're going to take Archives, and then that's where Nip goes, oh, they know we're going to take Archives, so maybe we will actually take Armory. And it's just back and forth forever, again, with nobody really having any clear direction as to where they're going to go. It's really going to come down to how Nip calls this one, and right now, with a couple members of their team heading on over towards that upstairs ventilation, well, they might decide to go for a split push. And that appears to be the plan. No Hibana this time, so Nip obviously correcting that mistake. A Maverick can cut right through that wall, even if it's electrified, and that's a decision that Nip has made that is going to go very well if they want to be able to take the Archives wall out, or the Armory wall, rather, out.
That position that you saw Psycho playing there was actually very dangerous. The reason he was not pulling the trigger on the cross is because he knew it was unlikely he would hit the shot. He's waiting for a better opportunity. There's the nade, though. Hot and Cold goes down. You saw the lifeline come in to assure there was no ADS. The nade followed swiftly after, and the second one to secure the kill. Pino gets Hot and Cold, and Ninjas in Pyjamas, the opening frag in this, the last round of the first half.
These teams have traded opening frags every single round. The only round where they haven't won when they've gotten it first was, of course, the last one. Cutting through the wall, I believe that's the Electroclaw gone on the left wall. Another kill for Pino. He's going to do it with his gun in hand this time. He doesn't need any frag grenades as they've all been expended. He's down below. A good effort from him in terms of utility work with that skeleton key will allow the rest of the team to collapse on DarkZero as they flee for their lives, knowing that they're losing the floor underneath them. Because of the advantage that Nip has, and now they've opened up this Armory wall, with a minute to go, they've got the luxury of time on their side, and they can go onto drones, as we saw from 2 members of Nip. There is no Mozzie in place, so the single mute jammer will be their only obstacle. There's going to be 4 of them placed around the map.
DarkZero are well positioned to rebuff an attack through the Armory wall, but they've got to deal with Pino from below. Look at the marks. The information from Nip is abundant, and it will force Hyper to relocate. You can see the repel from Psycho is going to get Skies as well. Nip are just looking so strong on this attack. DZ trying to retake, and there's a kill for Eclipse if he can secure it. Pino kills his last teammate though, so Eclipse now in a 1v5. He's down 2. Julio's still alive, but down in CCTV. C4 misses after Pino dies. Kamikaze planting. No C4 to deny, but plenty of info. Would be nice to have that C4 right about now, but doesn't matter because he'll die to Musi on the drop down. Ninjas in Pyjamas, great execution.
Kamikaze getting spam marked. He falls off the Defuser, which essentially puts it into a 4v1 as the one member of Ninjas in Pyjamas who'd been downed, or rather a 3v1 as one had been downed. So you don't want to have to worry about a C4 going off. Maybe they didn't hear it. Maybe the comms were really heavy and they just weren't aware that it had already been expended. But Kamikaze could have very easily finished off the 2 seconds that was left. But yes, the big thing for Nip there, they got the opening pick. Their drones were very eager to get into sight, scoop up that information, and give it right back to the rest of Nip. Whether it was just negligence from DarkZero to watch and hunt those drones down, or whether the mute jammers were positioned in ways that they were designed to maybe keep 1 or 2 members of their team alive, Nip had no issue whatsoever navigating around those gadgets and being able to spot out the members of DarkZero and then follow up masterfully, especially Pino. He was doing work on both sides of the map and then did good utility work. And as I pointed out, he flushed a couple members of DarkZero out right into the waiting arms of Ninjas in Pyjamas, one of which was the smoke that got caught inside a small office by the Zofia on rappel. A really strong round by Nip, and I would say probably their best round on attack.
Oh, clearly their best round on attack, as they didn't even need to get to the, oh, we're potentially going to lose this round, let's isolate a plant zone and plant. They just walked into the site, won the gunfights. There was that clear downstairs. I mean, you perfectly analyzed that round, so I'm just going to leave it. Thank you, Parker.
You're welcome.
I mean, you nailed it. Now we're going to go to Ventilation Workshop for Ninjas in Pyjamas for this next round, and, well, this is going to be the starting site for both teams. We did talk, actually, well, not we, but the analysts talk a little bit about how Ninjas in Pyjamas are fearsome on attack, and they have had some pretty impressive attack rounds through that first half. The question is, how does DarkZero fare as they transition onto the attacking side? That is going to be what we'll see displayed in this first round. The setup for Ninjas in Pyjamas is going to be an extended hold into CCTV. And that's really interesting to me because it's a ventilation defense. Normally you're going to have, you're going to have a customs roam too. Looks like it's going to be an all over the place hold here for Nip. They want to hold the majority of the map, and I actually understand that. This is a small map. Border is on the lower side of size, and you can hold a good portion of it as a defensive team. That's what Nip's philosophy is going to be in this round, it seems. I wonder how Deezy will attack it. It looks like an office execution. That's smart. You're going to need to clear out the entirety of the top floor before you execute onto ventilation. If Deezy knows this, they'll start with triple wall in office and over by tellers, it seems.
Deezy already changing up a significant amount from what we saw from Ninjas in Pyjamas attack, so it's not going to mirror the Brazilian team. And of course, you see Nip's lineup, it's entirely different as well. Utility soaks, time wasting, information, but no information denial, and then just a couple good guns. Psycho has been such a reliable player on this team. He can frag on just about any single operator. And with the Doc playing inside of monitors, he can support himself as well with a stim or two.
Bad timing there for Psycho. He almost caught Hyper in the cross. Unlikely he would have been able to get the kill, but maybe a little bit of damage here and there. Hyper pushing into Fountain. He's got control. You can see that there's someone droning him, but there's also somebody detecting his heart from below. That's Julio, using that cardiac sensor, trying to give information to the rest of his team. Hyper playing elevated in Fountain. He's not going to get C4 from below, but his position is still called out. Lots of setup on the top floor for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but primarily it's Psycho, Musi, and Pino who are going to be holding upstairs. Actually, an aggressive play from Musi will get Hyper, but Hyper's managed to get safe. He's down, but he's covered by the Fountain. He's playing Zofia, an operator who can pick herself up. So it's possible DZ can recover this, because he's a little bit of greed there, but it works out for Musi. He's aware of the advantage he has in this situation, and he's taking it. Meanwhile, some engagement's going on. He'll get his second kill, and DZ find themselves worse for wear as Nip are up 4-2. DZ with control, but what does it really matter with this man disadvantage?
Two great players for DZ in the clutch now, with Eclipse and Skies to hunt down the remaining ninjas that lay mostly on that bottom floor. DarkZero gets that second floor control as they need it, but it might be a little bit too late. Only 30 seconds left. Defuser gets picked up by Eclipse. goes on to the soft destruction work, and I just think DarkZero is right now blind. Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to continue to be mobile. There is still a pulse on the board, but you don't need one when Musi's pulling off what he's doing. 3 kills for him, looking for a quad kill as he heats up on his team. Skies' position given away just inside of Archives. Lots of damage through the wall. He'll run through a bunch of drones, but 5 seconds left. Peeking into Psycho. The Doc is better, though. Ninjas in Pyjamas, yet another round. My, they've been very, very good. 4 rounds in a row for them, and the very first of theirs on defense.
So when you finish your first half 4-2, you're in the disadvantage having 2 rounds. And you go into your second half, there's a big question mark that will be decided, answered in that first round of that second half. We have the answer now. Ninjas in Pyjamas are not going to falter as they transition to defense. They're looking pretty strong. The way that that round played out was quite interesting in the way that defense was holding, actually, because Deezy executed through Office. They came up through Archives into Armory, standard stuff, nothing special. But then they intercepted Musi. Okay, down. That's not unrecoverable. And you thought, or I thought, that Musi was getting a little greedy there with that down, too. He really wanted to secure it, but he won the follow-up gunfight. So now it's 2 kills for Musi. He secures that. Meanwhile, the rest of the clear for Deezy is falling onto the other guns from Ninjas in Pyjamas that are upstairs. That's Pino. That's Psycho. They start coming alive. And now, well, Deezy, yeah, they've got control upstairs because Nip give it to them. But they don't really have much time. They don't have enough manpower, and the execution that comes into the site is lackluster.
Psycho and Musi were supporting each other well with the rotate that the Doc had from monitors towards 90, and then the position that Musi was playing at the top of main stairs. In fact, because Musi is that 3-speed of Jaeger, it's not too far off for him to be able to get stimmed back up if he gets any kind of damage sustained. Well read by DarkZero to know that Musi would be thirsting Hyper, who was down, though Hyper could have really tried to withstand, but I don't think he did, and I think the call that was made was, well, at that point, it was the Habana. Go in, pick up Hyper, don't have him use his withstand at all. You can get him up instead of 5 HP to 20 HP, and we're going to be better off. The decision from DarkZero was not wrong, but the issue was that it was just played better, and very few people at this tournament have been able to outduel Musi, so add another to the list. Ninjas in Pyjamas will now, having 1 ventilation, well, they're going to go upstairs. They're going to defend Armory. This 1-2 punch that a lot of teams have on border with Bathroom Tellers being the 3rd site rotation. That will be played if Ninjas in Pyjamas win this round. And most critically, that 3rd site will be played with Ninjas in Pyjamas on match point if they end up proving to be successful on Armory.
Okay, the top floor setup looking interesting. Nip have done this one before in the past. What they're going to be doing is holding on to 90 and CCTV. This creates a lot of hurdles for the enemy to jump over before they can start executing onto the site. Psycho playing on 90. It's going to be an interesting position to see that go on. We have seen, again, we've seen this exact setup from Nip before in this tournament. When they play on border, they really like to bring this one out on Armory, and it works pretty well for them. I wonder how Deezy is going to approach it. You've got Musi and CCTV. That's a difficult player to dislodge. He's got the assistance of a shield in there. He's looking pretty safe. The rest of the top floor hold pretty thoroughly established. The one good thing, I guess, for Deezy is that there's no roamers downstairs. So you clear the upstairs and then you've got control. That also means that Eclipse has freedom to move in and do whatever he pleases unless Musi drops. It looks like Deezy want to push Musi out of CCTV. They've saw that the drop down is open and are trying to catch him. That's why they've got players underneath him just in case he falls. Deezy are going to start collapsing at some point, I would imagine, though it is taking them quite a lot of time just for this one player. Even if Musi dies at this point, he has effectively done his job, and that is to say he has wasted, well, half the round almost.
A critical player for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and there he goes! Sky high! The School of Brandon Carr Frag Grenades. That's their #1 student, Eclipse, taught by the master standing behind them, as BC was known and was so formidable with his frag grenades way back in the day.
Oh.
That manages to get control of monitors to a certain extent, though, but no! It's all just a bait. Psycho takes down Hyper, hot and cold, refrags, Type 89 in hand. He plays around this middle pillar, but he's getting shot from a Phantom Force. It's the Maestro all the way across into Armory and Bunker and back to a 3v3. The advantage gained from DarkZero is squandered.
Look at that. Notice how Ninjas in Pyjamas never relent. They don't let DarkZero take the advantage and walk away with it. Deezy had CCTV control. They were up 4-3. It looked like their round, but what does Pino do? He gets aggressive on Armory Wall, and yeah, okay, and on the one hand, it can cost you the round, but on the other hand, it got him a kill. Eclipse gets Pino from below. An explosive play from the skeleton key there for Eclipse. And now, strong advantage for DZ in the last 30 seconds. They can all consolidate on the Armory Wall and execute.
Advantage regained, flash goes in, it's dodged by Kamikaze, SMG-11 in hand. Out goes a toxic canister, but it's thrown a little bit too far. Some of the wall will blow up. These two SAS members will need to hold off the storm that is DarkZero. And because of their numbers, you've got Mint sitting, lying in wait. He'll push up solo now. Gets swung on, taken out by Kamikaze. C4 goes, and there's the second target onto Eclipse. Spectacular toss. Skies will dispatch Julio. He'll go headhunting, but he doesn't get there. The clock will hit 0. Match point for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
What a clutch from Kamikaze. Whipping out the C4, getting that engagement on the doorway in his favor. And because of that, it looks like map number 1 might go quite a lot quicker than we had previously imagined. This is a very dominant one for NiP right now. A reminder, this is Ninjas in Pyjamas map pick. They wanted to come here, and it sure shows why just on that round count. Customs is the next bomb site for NiP. And the reason that they're going to go to Customs is because, well, they're running out of choices, having won 2 defensive rounds in a row.
That means every single bomb site will get a chance to be shown off here in front of everybody watching and those watching at home. Now, how are we going to see Ninjas in Pyjamas play on a Customs defense? Bathroom Tellers, as we've mentioned many times, has seen its stock continuously rise, and it tends to be an unpredictable way to play. I mean, you saw Ninjas in Pyjamas dismantle DarkZero's setup. It was an unorthodox bomb site, sure, but with Customs, your focus is going to be on monitors above. Ninjas in Pyjamas have done an exquisite job of holding monitors regardless of what site they're playing on. They had Psycho posted up there, they had Musi posted up there, and if you're DarkZero, you need to commit every single piece of your arsenal to taking control of that specific part of the map. Because if you don't do that, then it's very challenging for you to be able to translate any other level of success onto the bomb site that is down below monitors.
And see, that's part of what NiP were doing on attack that allowed them to be so successful. But it's not being repeated here now by DZ. I think in this case, we could say that a big chunk of that, again, is going to be the map proficiency, but I'm just also constantly being impressed by the way that NiP are able to isolate issues and solve them so quickly. This is one of the things that we've seen be, I say, one of the more important traits in teams throughout Siege's history. Well, you know, through G2's reign, Team Empire at their best. It's that immediate problem solving. It's saying, okay, there's this, well, we can fix that by doing this. And just action happens, they're successful, move on to the next. Because there's so many problems that are presented by the defenders for the attackers to solve. And even sometimes in the other direction. Well, all that aside, there's still chance here for DarkZero. They only need to get 4 rounds in a row. That's doable, we've seen it before. That'll bring us to OT. Right now, it's not looking very likely, not because of its, you know, I guess unlikeliness overall, but more because NiP are looking pretty strong on border.
When NiP played on border against G2, they only needed 3 defensive rounds as they went 5-1. So we never got to see what third bomb site would come out from NiP. We don't have any history as to know if it would be Bathrooms or Customs or the way that they would play it. G2 started on defense in that match, so your guess is as good as mine. Once again, it's a hold by 90 and a bit more reinforcements positioned over by monitors. A holding pattern for now. Hyper's in though. He's actually been able to take up a ton of ground, and he's got 2 members of DarkZero in tow. Are they just going to be able to rush in? The unsuspecting target for DarkZero is going to be Pino. He takes a beating. Alda up. It's got so much ammunition that he can just chew through the walls, but well played. Destruction onto the wall will allow Eclipse to have the line of sight. Down below, the shotgun will miss, but here come NiP's guns. And it's Musi, of course. He's taken out. Too much to look at. Skies holding the angle and watching as Musi falls without realizing he's been shot in the back.
a great execution onto the top floor there. They have to now transition this to the site take, as they have established control of Armory, but not CCTV. There's Psycho lodged in that corner. He's waiting for a target to pop into his vision so he can execute it swiftly. He's been so good at that through this tournament. Psycho winning a lot of those gunfights. He'll be droned out though by Eclipse, and Skies is going to hear this. The comm comes out. Now he has to sort out how he wants to address Psycho's presence. Looks like it's going to be a rotation over to the break room wall, but it's actually Eclipse to get the kill. Psycho attempting to rotate there. And now CCTV control established. Plenty of time to execute onto the site.
DarkZero had gained so much ground from Hyper upstairs, and he was aided by a single drone, it appears. That was it. The clutch potential for Ninjas in Pyjamas, including Julio and Kamikaze together, is very fearsome. Just ask G2. As there were a couple clutches from NiP that were good enough to shut down that G2 team. A kill from Eclipse as the Defuser goes down below. This is an almost impossible task. A great shot from Julio. We've seen some miraculous things from him before. If you're a NiP fan, you're praying, because this round is very firmly tipping the scales towards DarkZero. Above, Julio will go. Defuser's at roughly halfway, but he gets smoked by Eclipse. And an absolutely extraordinary round from the Sledge, a 4K. Not a bad effort. He's going to keep his team in it single-handedly. Rotation is over for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Ventilation workshop down below opens up again.
Massive round there for DarkZero, specifically Eclipse though. And again, this is very doable for DZ, though it won't be easy. The biggest thing is that now Ventilation has unlocked, as you stated, so NiP get to go to their preferred bomb site. That last round was very good to watch for DZ, because it shows and it proves that they have the capability to clear out that top floor as efficiently as we saw NiP do. Look at that shot. Wow. That was a beautiful kill there outside the front door. Wasn't enough to win the round, but, you know, gold star.
A frustrating one, as you can see the faces of Ninjas in Pyjamas not happy that they weren't able to close it out. They have yet to use their timeout, however, so if they start to end up in free fall, there is a ripcord for them to be able to pull and a parachute to deploy.
I mean, over that last round, if DZ can give us attacking rounds like that moving forward, I think that they'll have a pretty decent chance. Even that same execution will work now onto Ventilation, because you're going to be clearing out the roamers upstairs, the same as you had just now in Customs. There's nothing wrong with doing it in a similar fashion as long as it works, right? Only tricky bit there is that Ninjas in Pyjamas have proven themselves to be so adaptable, so capable of reading your attacks and adjusting to them. The same thing for NiP on attack too when it comes to your defenses. So DZ definitely going to have to put in some extra effort here. If there's any team to come back from this though, I think DZ's one of them. The setup here going upstairs is going to be, again, a heavy roam. Lots of cameras being placed on the top floor, at least 2 that I could count there. Possibly all 3 for all I know. Galio shields as well, reinforcements to boot, ADSs. You can tell how important the top floor is for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're just going to want to hold it out for maximum, maybe like 2 minutes. As long as you can hold for that long on a top floor roam, you're doing pretty good. You hold for 1:30, that's about standard, and then you'll fall back.
What's at stake for the remainder of these rounds, regardless of whether it's NiP or DarkZero who wins, is that Coastline, being map number 2, very strongly favors DarkZero. It does not have a high play rate from NiP. They only played it once. It was against G2. They won 8-7, and it's a good map for G2. So not exactly like NiP are, you know, slouches. However, DarkZero's record on it much stronger. And if they can continue to build momentum in the latter half of this map, well, it's far less demoralizing than losing in a 7-2 stomp where your opponents at that point would have won 6 rounds in a row. At least for DarkZero, you've been able to break that momentum after taking your time out.
Yeah, I still think it's unlikely DZ's going to be able to bring this all the way back, just because now DZ are the ones who have to climb the hill since they're on attack. But you're right, if you can get just a few rounds here and there, bring it close to overtime, maybe it's going to make you feel a little bit better about the loss. Though again, I will say that there is still a chance. DZ slowly executing on the top floor. C4 misses by triple wall there, narrowly dodged by Hyper. Still control of Fountain and Archives established for DZ. Pino, the roamer upstairs in Armory, is just going to try and hold out for as long as he can. Another C4 missed there. Hyper, really lucky with his movements. And, well, I guess you could also say smart as he keeps moving.
That C4 go off on indestructible ground, though, because it sure looked that way. In goes Skies, but his engagement with Pino does not go the way that he had hoped. The follow-up drone as a volcanic shield blows up in front of Pino. He's headhunting, and he's going to get it. Another for the collection. Goodbye, hot and cold, so long inside of Archives. File that one as an F in the chat. Final minute now, with Ninjas in Pyjamas holding a 5v3 advantage. DarkZero have not been able to get an Archives. Another for Pino. 3 for him. C4 goes. Down goes Mint as well. Hyper in a 1v5. A flawless round for Nip. Yes, it is. Absolutely incredible play by both Ninjas in Pyjamas as well as Pino. He's a one-man army up top. And it's 7-3 as the Brazilian team is one map away for surviving defeat in the lower bracket.
DarkZero, a great execution onto the top floor. Absolutely destroyed by a single man. Pino on a mission, and boy did he accomplish it. Ninjas in Pyjamas end that one with bang. Pino himself dropping 12 kills.
Absolutely monstrous performance, and taking away top frag from Musi, whose name is on the tip of everybody's tongues whenever Nip plays. That 4K was enough to give him the top. But that's it for us. The desk is ready, and they've got some interesting rounds to go over.
Thank you so much, Intero and Kickstar. Yes, hell of a game one here between these two teams, and my God, NIP look like they are a completely different beast than when we've ever seen them before playing on stage. They're completely manhandling DarkZero.
I mean, one of the rounds, DarkZero is getting in top floor, and they're starting this, you know, system they have where they set up and then they drone out, they push another, and they'll keep like leapfrogging that way forward. And Nip just pushes back on defense. It was like they were playing attack the entire round.
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good way of explaining it as well. And like I like to call it sectioning.
Exactly.
DZ is extremely good at sectioning the map, going, this is phase 1 of attack, this is phase 2, so on and so forth. Unfortunately for DZ, those phases never ended. And by the time they did get to the last phase, it was just too late. And time is the worst enemy in this game.
Unfortunately, and even in the start of this game, it was DarkZero starting off on defense, right? They were reinforcing the hatches. They reinforced in office, playing in workshop, reinforced in armory, reinforced in CCTV, all trying to slow down Nip and then playing on site. But what happened there? How was NIP able to break through it, Alex?
Well, I mean, so you see DC put up these cage jammers that can't really be dealt with from, you know, a normal nade. You have to get them into very, very specific spots.
True.
And Nip doesn't really seem to be too phased. They just slowly go through it. Almost every round, they don't really get that much done in terms of planting or anything until 20 seconds later, or until 20 seconds left on the clock. But they just drone everything. They find a new solution to whatever is needed. They'll go downstairs, they ash the floor to push the people away so they could just, you know, peek in and remove it manually instead.
Yeah, that's an excellent play that they had there. I'd actually never seen Kaid or Electroclauds used in really that tight and complicated fashion. And what I like about it mostly is that any other team would have gone, okay, I can't remove this with an IQ below. My grenades are not working. I don't have a Thatcher because it's banned. What do I do? And they turned around and went, no problems. We just like horizontal gameplay anyway, so we'll just take you face on. And I think that's brilliant.
Actually, you touched on the bans. The Thatcher was banned. We kind of predicted that. And Nomad was left in play, and NIP were able to use it. Was it an important linchpin of their strategy on the attacking side?
I don't know how much that actually mattered, because when you look at it, like, Nip were kind of just smashing them anyway.
That's very true.
They didn't have that much freedom to even have to worry about Nomads.
All right, well, that was map 1. Anything really to highlight outside of this?
I'm really impressed that the one thing that I thought was Nip's downfall, their verticality, is now in their arsenal as well, and I just feel this team is now unstoppable.
I don't think DC, like, DC needs to loosen up a little bit, save the executes for when you're you know, a man up.
All right, let's see how they reset for map 2. So now let's bring our chatter down to Coastline. Map number 2, NIP, pick border, they won it. We go to Coast. It's, of course, another map that requires that verticality. You were applauding NIP for using what has before been their weakness very effectively against DC. What do you think they're going to do here?
Yeah, I think if they continue that vertical play that they were ever so weak at previous to this matchup that I've seen here, then Coastline is an extremely horizontal map, okay? You can use vertical to extreme advantages, but it's gunfights at the end of the day. So if you're going to have to take these gunfights, I'm going to give it to Nip 9 times out of 10.
I mean, Coastline is just condensed border, right? You have, instead of the waiting area, you have the garden area in the middle. So if Nip can lock down roamers on border and make that a null issue, then Coastline seems way more scary, to be honest.
Operator bans in this case. What does DarkZero go for to slow down NIP a bit?
Look, I'd like to see them do a really tricky ban, something like a buck ban or something like that, because it's just been insane for NIP for all of their plays, both horizontally and vertically. And we spoke about Coastline being a super vertical map. So if we can take away a linchpin of their entire push, then that might really help. But I just don't think Deezy thinks that much out of the square. They're really clinical, so I don't think we'll see that ban, but I'd love to see it come out. I think that would have helped them.
Definitely not uncommon, to say the least, to have it. Both teams have been utilizing the sledge as well.
I mean, not only if you do ban the buck, you loosen up on some of the destruction, but the way Julia's been playing it is pretty damn scary as well. I think something like Gridlock might be a decent ban as well, because in Coastline, it's so easy to lock down all the staircases, right?
Yeah, you really have the 2 staircases, and then you dive out. And a lot of times, if you're attacking to kitchen, there might be somebody standing on the roof or in luggage until way later into the round. Something that actually the defenders sometimes will do. If you look at Empire, even though they're not here in the big stage, Joysticks is very well known for playing that aqua luggage hallway for quite a bit deep into the round, covering kitchen. So soft walls are going to be very important in this case, if you ask me.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of the soft breaching that we're going to see on this will either be extremely well planned or will be adaptive. There will be nothing in between with this. So I think Deezy will come in with going, okay, this is what we plan to open up. These are the lines of sight we want. And I think NIP are going to go, hang on, we've got a person in this corner, and now I'm going to open up this wall, and that's how it's going to be played.
Defender side, do you see anything specific banned? We usually see, a Mira, an Echo banned in here. Really depends on how the teams are running it. Anything exciting maybe that DarkZero will be bringing?
I don't think they're going to get too feisty with bans. I still think we're going to see probably the Echo or the Maestro and then Amira. But I'd like to see them gamble a little bit, because it's all or nothing now.
Yeah, look, I don't think Mira is that helpful on Coastline. I think we've always agreed that Mira is really not a key operator of Coastline. She can be played in Penthouse pretty effectively, but every other side, maybe Kitchen as well, but otherwise she's really ineffective. So I want them to go somewhere else, maybe even a Valkyrie ban.
Exactly, I completely agree. It's similar to Villa, right? There's so much soft floor destruction. Bring a buck, usually it's more than enough. Ash, Zofia, soft breachers. Alex, you're one of a big proponent of not even running a hard breacher on this map. You don't need a Habana, you don't really need a Thermite or a Maverick. What do you think about this?
So you got like, there's 3 default takes you can kind of do and pull, and only one of them benefit drastically from a hard breacher. So if that's not your default attack, well then you might as well bring an extra set of smokes, nades, whatever it might be, I mean, you could bring a Nomad or a Gridlock as well, have double of them, right? Like completely lock down room.
Well, final thoughts. Jess, what do you think about this one? Are NIP going to be able to take it?
If they continue the verticality, yes.
I think NIP showed enough on border.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what Bob the Builder is able to do with himself and the team. Ladies and gentlemen, map number 2 in our best of 3 series. Are you ready? It's North America's Hope here, DarkZero versus NIP, map 2, Coastline. Take it away, Kix and Terrell.
Thank you very much, analysts, and thanks for cutting through what we just saw on that map. Coastline is going to be a very interesting showdown between a team that is very well practiced on it and a team that hasn't played it all that much. Now, they both had success, though Nips was far more hard fought. Deezy absolutely having the edge here, but will they be able to bounce back after a pretty mentally shattering defeat?
Yeah, Ninjas of Pyjamas, like you said, hard fought victory over G2, that 8-7 earlier in this tournament. DarkZero are going to start off the banning as they are on defense. They'll get rid of Lion. We'll see how that continues to play out. Lion, as we know, a powerful operator on this map in particular, used to great effect in the past, even during this tournament. Actually, it was, I believe, it was in that match. It was Nip versus G2, if I'm not mistaken.
Hilariously, DarkZero had Lion banned against them by both Empire and BDS, and you're absolutely correct. Lion was ran almost every round by both G2 and Ninjas in Pyjamas in that matchup on Coastline. So DarkZero doing their homework. they like to play Lion. Teams ban Lion against them on a map like Coastline with how frag heavy it can be. It can be such a frenzy that his EE1D just picks you apart.
And the Valkyrie, the last ban, that makes a lot of sense. Coastline, this is probably one of Valkyrie's best maps. On the other hand, though, that does mean that Mira is still in play, and Mira is also pretty good on Coastline. We've seen her go unbanned on this map in the past, though, and not get played too much, maybe like one or round here or there. The thing about Mira is that she's such a strategy-centric kind of operator. She will change the entire defense just by existing. And yeah, it's the same for the attack, so it's going to be throwing a wrench in your enemy's plans, but at the same time, you really got to be careful. Are you actually prepared to bring a Mira? Most of the time, the answer is no. We actually see her sometimes be useful, but only sometimes. And when she's brought out these days, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's hit and miss. So we're going to go to Kitchen for the very first bomb site here from DarkZero. This is one of the 3 primary bomb sites on Coastline. The only bomb site that is not frequently played on this map is Penthouse. You can pretty much do any of the other 3 in any order as you see fit. We'll be seeing a Pulse Brought here that's going to be assisting in that verticality that Jess talked about earlier. It's going to be helpful for DZ in determining whether they're being pressured from above or not.
I like that you point out that there are 3 viable sites on this map. Penthouse Theater has been shown 1 time by Ninjas in Pyjamas. It was against G2, and it was a real Hail Mary. Didn't work out at all. G2 picked it apart, and with that, the teams went to overtime because, well, the defense for NIP was not that strong. So NIP starting on attack, historically, for them at least, that's going to give them a bit of a leg up against DZ. But for greater context, DZ playing this map 3 times is going to give them a leg up on NIP. Unless NIP has been saving something and didn't exactly go all out in their matchup against G2, which maybe some teams will do. I don't know the headspace for NIP or if that's exactly what they were intending.
And that's just 3 times at the Invitational. That's a small window. That's a lot of practice all at once in those high-pressure situations. Now, we go onto the first minute of the round already transpired. Go onto the blue stairs, and we'll see that Pino is trying to get an angle to cut off rotation from anyone who might be over by Sunrise Bar. Not really a whole lot happening in terms of the execution right now, but clearly, again, it's top floor control priority for NIP.
Togepi being brought by Ninjas in Pyjamas. He's an operator that does get played frequently by them. They use those logic bombs not just for intel and roam clearing, but also just to pinch and immobilize one member of the defense. That's all they really need to find, and the Togepi pick ends up being very worthwhile. It's Julio with the kit that Togepi has. Not exactly a frag-heavy operator, but Julio can make it work. There's Hot and Cold down below. Scouts out a couple members of Ninjas in Pyjamas as, well, he's got a C4 that has one of the member of NIP's names on it. Might even be Pino.
You know, this is really interesting. DZ didn't roam very heavily upstairs, yet they still have 3 anchors, which means they're playing against themselves. Pino will pick off Eclipse. When I didn't see the roam upstairs from DZ, I assumed it would probably be a pretty heavy roam offsite, maybe 1 anchor, but no, not the case. It's primarily a C4 play, and the C4 play is not working for DZ. Pino's angling for another kill for his team. Hotten's put onto low HP. Ninjas in Pyjamas, not only in the driver's seat in terms of control, but in terms of manpower, and they've got plenty of time.
I have no idea how Hot and Cold got out of that alive when he was as stationary as he was. That should have been so easy for NIP to be able to get that frag. Instead, it's a sledging above as Psycho maneuvers himself towards the main entrance. He'll confront Skies. They're both incredible aimers. Neither do a single point of damage to each other as they just fly on by. A retake from above. I don't know if Skies' position has been called out. The sledge is not aware. There's one taken down by Musi. Hot and Cold eliminated Pino. That was the very first member of Ninjas in Pyjamas that gets dropped off as it was Skies helping him out. Damage now being done as Hyper is felt. The Pulse still in the corner. G36 click-clacking away. And 2 members of NIP will go on in. It had been started earlier, but it gets finished. At the very end, Hot and Cold survives way past his expiration date. Round number 1 is Ninjas in Pyjamas.
A lot to say about that round. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a great job clearing out the top floor. They managed to drone efficiently, realize, hey, there's really nobody here. We can just walk on in. They were cautious still, though. Push in, start opening from above, putting pressure onto the site. Now, at first, again, I thought that maybe Deezy were going for a pretty hard horizontal roam, trying to retake their own site. We've seen that before on Kitchen. It's a pretty common strategy, but no, there were 3 anchors. And granted, 2 of them had C4, but both of those C4s missed. And why did they miss? Well, they missed because the way that Ninjas in Pyjamas played. You actually just saw it right at the end of one of those replays. Eno opened the wall between VIP and Master. And now what he does there is he eliminates one of the most common C4 lanes you'll see from below to above. That C4 lane is the one in front of the Master bed. Typically, you're gonna come in through Master/Penthouse, and you're gonna go in front of that bed, you're gonna get C4'd. That's what Deezy were trying to do, but Pino just came at it from a different angle, because he's Sledge, and he can do that. He's got that versatility and that soft destruction, so the C4 falls flat on its face. The anchors get punished, one of them lit up, the other one killed. Smoke's still there, but not doing very much. All the while, time's ticking away. Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, with such a strong man advantage established, they are not feeling pressured to rush the site at the end, and that's exactly what they do. The collapse on that team fight comes out, and, well, Nip on top, even though it came down to the last few seconds. They still won it. Now, we are going to Billiards Hookah for the next bomb site, see how this works out for DZ. They're not going to stay and try to defend the same one over and over. That's good to see from DarkZero. It means that they're willing to try everything to win.
There's also an opportunity that Skies could have possibly capitalized on more. An example of this is that he went up top after Psycho missed his shots. I don't know if the call was made from Ninjas in Pyjamas. I would imagine not, because Skies was able to then take Theater, and then from a Penthouse, he got the Sledge, and, you know, coordinating along with Hot and Cold, who's playing down below.
I mean, I'm imagining that they were just being a little bit negligent on that flank hold because they had so much manpower and like, yeah, whatever. We'll refrag, it's fine. Maybe that's it. Maybe they did have a drone and there was poor communication, but I doubt it. You're probably right. The execution coming from Nip, it seems, will be VIP this time.
It's pretty typical drone work for now.
They're being very thorough.
Very, very thorough. Nip are not, they're just...
They don't skip steps.
Yeah, they're not...
And they haven't through this tournament.
They're just not in a hurry, and they're not really doing... Both teams are just kind of sitting and waiting, and I mean, a big part of that is DarkZero not getting too aggressive. They don't need to. They don't need to push out too early. Coastline is a map that can swing in favor of the attackers.
Yeah.
It's one of the rare ones in our map pool that does tend to skew away from the defense.
And that's dangerous if you're DZ. Wall gets opened up there in VIP. That's going to give it an angle for Ninjas in Pyjamas to pressure into the site. You could see that here from Kamikaze. That angle now applying pressure to the bar in sight. It's going to make Skies really exposed. DZ do have roamers off-site. Potentially some work can be done here for Hyper, but you could see that Nip are clearly aware of his location. I think Julio's on drone in that main lobby and calling it out. Ooh, this could be really interesting. Is that C4 going to hit someone? No, but a good read there. Just a little bit too late for Hyper.
Musi's on his gadget very late as IQ. He sees everybody from DarkZero lined up over towards this cocktail bar as well. It's a lot of times called Pink, but we're not going to get into this again. And over towards Billiards. The smoke might get flushed out, but no, he'll sit for now. Watch those holes open up by the Hibana. It's actually rare to see a Hibana being played because she is so regularly banned on this map. Interesting. That's what the Lion ban really forces out. Everybody is still alive with 30 seconds left. Deezy tries to retake into the site, at least Eclipse. He is not successful. Pino is there. Still on Repel. The Sledge has not been shaken off. he can watch the 3 rotate holes and avenues that were created by DarkZero. Skies an answer back. It comes 10 seconds later to give DarkZero a fighting chance in this round. The smoke was the intended target of that hard destruction, but he will not be removed from his spot. The IQ looks the wrong way as there's a kill from the volcanic shield of Hot and Cold. Nip falling to pieces as they try to barge into the site, but they've got absolutely nothing. Defuser as well surrendered, and that's it for the timer. DarkZero will hang on. Very well executed, and this is what we said about Ninjas in Pyjamas. As aggressive as they might be, Michael, they too can stall out just like any team, and stall out they do.
Little bit too much thought put into that round for Nip. Hesitation. DarkZero will take their first round in a while. But still a pretty big one there, as they prove themselves capable of winning defenses on this map number 2. They're gonna have to win quite a lot more if they want any chance at actually winning this series, though. It's only a first step. That last round, Ninjas in Pyjamas cleared pretty well on the roam, on the other side of the top floor, but not much came of it because DZ were playing very safe on site, very. And there was a roam downstairs, but that was not addressed by Ninjas in Pyjamas until the very end of the round. That's too late. I was a little worried for DarkZero for a good chunk of that because it looked like Nip were going to be able to set up for an Aqua execution, but then they were so spread out. They were trying to execute onto Hookah as well, Aqua through Luggage Hall. It was a confusing round for Nip on the attack, and ultimately DZ realized this. They're like, hey, we just waited. And they did. They waited it out, won the round. Well done to them. It's going to be a kitchen defense next for DZ.
Last time we saw DZ go here, they had some significant struggles controlling that second floor. You made mention of it. Everybody seemed to be playing downstairs on that bottom floor. The retake from DZ only had minimal results, if any at all, I think you could say.
I mean, take it around, right? It was just so dangerous. I mean, the way that DZ were handling it, it looked like they were going to be able to secure it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking anyway. But it's just too little late on that execution.
Shooting out the floors in the common default spots, or common spots referred to as default spots, where the plant will go down through the service door. Means that you can play from inside of the lobby, you can play from bathroom, and as an attacker, with that diffuser in hand, you are going to have a bit more of a pause before you commit to planting in that area, knowing that, well, a couple bullets to your ankle, foot, leg, etc., and you are as good as dead. Diffuser unable to get planted in that point. So it looks for now that Nip are just aligning over by the service door, and they're going to do the exact same thing that they did on the previous round, though it is a different site, and that is drone out the north side of the building first. That's VIP, that's penthouse, that's theater, and then go to town on the floorboard. That will be Pino's job. Anybody from DarkZero playing down below will be in significant trouble. The difference is that DarkZero have made some changes themselves. They've got 2 members of their team sitting side by side, one on 90, the other inside of theater, looking towards penthouse behind that deployable shield. Hyper's also got 2 ADSs, so he's not going to be easily flushed out by a frag grenade.
It was a good setup here from DZ to hold the top floor. Ninja Pyjamas, though, are well-versed in confronting these holds and just winning the gunfights. It's entirely possible that's what we see here. The deployable shield's going to be assisting Hyper quite a lot, as you said, along with those ADSs to keep the shield alive. Nip are starting to get a little slow on this execution, but they're going to get eclipse actually elsewhere. We're looking at the top floor, but meanwhile, by blue bar, Pino is going to get the kill there. Really big one there. Hyper will get Musi in response. So there is still DZ in this round. That's that top floor clear. Not working out great for Nip, whereas, again, the Sunrise blue one did really well. Kamikaze's actually in service entrance. This is site control. Pino's in as well. Ninjas in Pyjamas have full control of the site. DZ will have to retake. Mint in an attempt to do so will lose the fight at a long-range angle. There's no diffuser in hand, so they're going to need to retrieve that, but it doesn't matter because Nip's guns come alive. And Ninjas in Pyjamas will take their second round.
So in round number 1, the kitchen defense from DarkZero is too focused on that bottom floor, and Nip has a leisurely time taking control of the second floor and then making DZ pay. So DZ situates 2 members on the top floor. That's exactly where we saw Mint and Hyper play. They were very close to each other. Eclipse was off-site in what appeared to be offices, or maybe even holding Blue Bar. We didn't see his exact location. Then, after Eclipse falls, and they realize that, hey, the two players upstairs, Hyper and Mint, they have no way back to site. We can make this a 5v2 at this point. Let's just push the site. There's a glaring weakness over towards Service. It's the Maestro who is distracted, and Ninjas in Pyjamas just go right in the door. That's it. They gun down the Maestro. They have full site control, as you note, because the 3 remaining members are now either off-site or playing close enough to site, but still not in it. You don't need to get that Defuser down. Nip just holds the crossfires because there was no way for DarkZero. There's no rotate holes. They had to go in through the doorways, and it's a 5v3 at that point. You don't need 5 people to stare at 3 doorways.
The reoccurring trend here is that Ninjas in Pyjamas are reading their opponents very well. And on the one hand, when you see 2 players upstairs and you're like, okay, well, we're just going to hit the site, that's a big risk because it's just 2. It's not 3, it's not 4, it's not the whole enemy team. That's just 2 on the top floor spotted by Nip, and that call could easily work against you as an attacking team. On the other hand, it worked great for Nip. They collapsed on the site and they got the execution. It was a solid take. And DZ weren't prepared for it. They were expecting a full commit to that top floor. You could tell by the way they were positioned. You could tell by the fact that the drop down in Penthouse into the main lobby wasn't opened up. What does that mean? It means that Hyper wasn't expecting to rotate into Penthouse. He wasn't expecting to get a chance to drop into main lobby. It would have been a great avenue to have, but he just didn't think he needed it. So DZ setting themselves up well. DZ, I like the adaptation. I like the changes brought in. But Ninjas in Pyjamas, well, they're going to adapt as well. They're going to throw out a new attack. They're going to catch DZ in a bad spot. Moving into this next round, it's another kitchen defense for DarkZero. They are set up in a more dynamic way. They've taken away the shields upstairs. They've reinforced the penthouse drop down. They've also set more players on the site to avoid that site rush that Nip brought out last time. Those roamers upstairs don't have, like I said, the shield, the ADSs, any of the reinforcements. It's just we're going to have someone up there. They want to be a little bit more dynamic, DarkZero. They want to be able to adapt to their opponent's play.
The one good thing that works for DarkZero is that the only sites that Nip were successful at defending against G2 were Kitchen and Service. That was it. There was nowhere else that Nip were good on defense. That means that if you're DarkZero and you survive your half without giving up more than 4 rounds, you can hopefully, if not do better than G2, at least have overtime to settle the score. No matter how many rounds Nip ends up winning on attack. That's really what you're looking at here. They're really throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at Ninjas in Pyjamas right now, as they've gone to the site 3 times. And every single time, DarkZero is bringing something completely different. Oh my goodness.
The patience on Pino.
Excellent trigger discipline. They know that somebody is sitting inside of that area. You'll try to flush him out the moment that he moves. Well, you can take him down. There he goes. Missed opportunity, sprays through the wall. Easy fodder for Pino. He has been excellent on his opening duels for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and Mint is caught off guard by that long angle that was established by DarkZero's own defenses.
That was incredibly smart from Pino, as he knew that those little bits on the back of Smoke's back, well, are not part of the hitbox. C4 comes out from DZ. That's a little too preemptive as there's no one in. Kamikaze comes in after the C4, starts the plant. Pino's still covering. He'll get one, almost another, but Eclipse gets across, denies the plant. Musi's still getting hyper though. Now it's all on Eclipse as Skies is eliminated. Very little HP here for the Mozzie. He's gonna have to land quite a lot of headshots in this 1v3, and it just doesn't seem very likely. Denied the plan earlier, so he's a star. He'll get it down onto Pino, now a 1-on-2, but Pino will likely be picked up. No aggression here from Eclipse. He knows he doesn't have the luxury, and he's still got to hold for 20 seconds. There's the pickup. He doesn't see it, doesn't secure the kill. The plant coming down by the window. He'll have to retake that, but through the shelf, Ninjas in Pyjamas, and Musi specifically, will secure that round. That's gonna be 3 total, and it's looking pretty dire for DZ at this point.
Kitchen is not the play for DarkZero. Do you call a timeout? The answer is yes. Headset goes down on their coach, BC, and you've had 3 attempts at a site. Beautiful shot from Eclipse as we dive into exactly what happened on that round. The one thing that you can say for DarkZero is they've now defended Kitchen 3 times, and every single time it has been a remarkably different setup. None of them have been successful, but they are at least showing that they have some depth in their strategies. Once again, massive praise needs to go towards Ninjas in Pyjamas for the way that they just pick apart a strategy on the fly. Their calling is extremely strong, and that falls on the shoulders primarily of Kamikaze. He is not just clutch in his plays as a support, but obviously he is giving his team the right information, and he is pointing them in the right direction to be able to fully exploit the weaknesses that DarkZero is showing. In that particular case, DarkZero had no coverage on the other side of the map. They were too focused on the windows, they were too focused on service, and they were too focused on the lobby. That's not good enough, especially when you've cleaved open that wall as they have. You have to be watching over inside of Courtyard and the double bars where people are going to play. That oversight from DarkZero got the first pick for Ninjas in Pyjamas, who are perfect on opening duels in this matchup, and had about the same amount of opening duels on Borders, so at worst they kept pace through matchup number 1. But NiP have just been feeding off of this, and with the way that Pino and Musi have been playing, you cannot give a single inch to this NiP team. The fact that you are committing such mistakes that allow you to lose those opening duels, and you have those oversights which can be exploited, Ninjas in Pyjamas are taking that and they are just running with it.
It's so much momentum at this point, Parker. It's really going to be hard for DZ to make that full recovery. And, you know, keep in mind, that's with NiP having already won that map, number 1. This is a desperate position for DarkZero. And Ninjas in Pyjamas, I think the biggest story for me is that they are once again proving our analysts correct. It was Zoronic and Jess both, I think, who were talking about how NiP are looking really scary right now.
I mean, I talked to 4 teams in the group stages, and they all said that the team that they feared the most was Ninjas in Pyjamas.
And here you see that represented. I mean, it's not done yet, ladies and gentlemen, but it's getting there. And Parker's right. His assessment is spot on. 4 opening frags in a row, that opens you up to so much. And then even when DZ throws a counterpunch, Ninjas in Pyjamas sidestep by just going somewhere else or addressing it differently or just winning that heads-up gunfight and solidifying their lead in each of these rounds.
NiP haven't really needed to make many changes. They adapt as they find out the defense for DarkZero. Now, DarkZero goes back to Hookah, and that was the one site that DZ was successful on in round number 2. If they win here, they do not get to go here again because there will only be 1 remaining round. So, do you go back to Kitchen? Do you roll the die on the double bars? The reluctance to try new things for DarkZero unfortunately cost them 3 rounds, and even though they tried different setups on those sites, you could have gone somewhere else. It took about 20 seconds, but that EMP will finally go off as some gadgetry was spotted by the IQ. That's the teamwork you need.
Yeah, Psycho using those EMPs really great with the IQ on the roof to get rid of a bunch of utility. So much from DZ just dealt with by those EMPs. He used, I think, all 3 just now on that roof. Like to see those details. And yes, indeed, Psycho using every single one of them. He'll get a lot of utility with that, I'm sure, thanks to Musi's IQ.
It looked like the primary target for that EMP was an ADS, and with NiP's lineup, they've got 2 sets of frag grenades, and there it is! Mint goes down, Pino throws out the frag grenade, and another first blood for NiP. Make that 5 through 5 rounds.
You know, a lot of people are saying that NiP are looking like a crazy, scary team because of how good they are at fragging. But I am constantly being impressed by how well they are orchestrating their attack rounds and their defensive rounds in the strategy column. That was beautiful. They got ADSs, they got an opening kill, thanks to the nade placement. That was all planned out.
Now the hold from DarkZero as they are farther back. They've still got the Evil Eye cams up, and now that the EMPs have been expended, you're not going to be able to shoot them that way. Pino a second kill. Musi dropped by the MP5K in the hands of Hyper, whose angle now being held in towards Hookah. Eclipse forced off of his position at Cool Vibe Stairs. He'll head down below. That's a Jaeger, so all he can do is shoot through the floor. There is no explosive potential. It's a numbers advantage for NiP with 20 seconds, and a very calm team will look to push in. Very close to the bomb site. Skies just backs up. That's another for Pino. 4 for him, but he's denied the ace from Psycho. Hookah this time around, not in DarkZero's favor. The Pino show will continue to roll on as Ninjas in Pyjamas will, at worst, take 4 rounds out of the 6 and a majority of their attacks.
And you know Pino would have gotten that ace. He knew exactly where his enemy was. And okay, yeah, Psycho swiped it in the end, but of course, Nip, they just want the round win. Big one there for Nip, though, off of Pino's hard work. But it's not just him. We talked about it in the middle of the round. The EMPs and the IQ work from Musi on that roof, getting rid of the ADSs, allowing for this nade right here to land. That's big. That puts your team in the lead early on, and it puts you in a great position to take Hookah, from where Pino managed to get those next 3. Excellent execution there from Ninjas in Pyjamas on to Hookah. And DarkZero now, not in a great spot. Having just taken their tactical timeout, they will lose yet another round. And, I mean, with this now being the very last round of defense, Deezy are tasked with winning at least 1 more in the first half, or they're not going to have a very good time in the second half.
This is a rough outing for DarkZero, and they were feeling very confident heading into this matchup. I got to talk to Bacon behind the scenes before the Content Creator Show match had actually started. It was right at the tail end of Fnatic versus BDS, and obviously not giving anything away about the conversation, but I think they were expecting, regardless of how much confidence they had, a much closer matchup. Only 4 rounds have been won by DarkZero, and keep in mind, Ninjas in Pyjamas are not a particularly strong team defending Coastline outside of the kitchen bomb site. So if DarkZero rather, can win this round, then that sets them up in the spot that they want to be on defense. Now, it's a hard task to be able to come back from that. Mentally, you know that you're trailing, and you know that you have very little room for error. But 2 players on DarkZero have been in much worse circumstances and been around since the very beginning, and they finally get to taste the main stage of Six Invitational, and that is, of course, both Hot and Cold and Mint. This is the first Invitational where they will actually play on the main stage despite falling short every single time, never making it here. They have flanking them Eclipse and Skies, who are no strangers to that stage, and Skies himself is a world champion playing on Elevate on Xbox. He's looking to establish himself as a world champion on PC. So lots of experience for DarkZero. They have mental composure. They can bounce back. The question is, what happens in this round? Because I think this round is going to set the tone for when we swap sides.
Completely agree, Parker. Really, all the pressure's on DZ right now. But a little bit has been applied to Psycho, who has eaten about half of his HP. It's gonna make it so he is worse for wear in future engagements, unlikely to win many of them. Although it's not impossible. Double bar here for DZ. They've got 2 on site, but 3 roamers holding onto the main lobby and kitchen. That's the primary hold right now. Now, Nip have read this, and as they are so good at doing, are starting to adjust to avoid those roamers. They're like, we're just gonna hit the site. So they start opening from above because, spoiler, roamers by kitchen and main lobby do not deny top floor control to the enemy. And Nip are, well, they're going to start punishing the anchors at some point. It might go the other way, though. Houghton trying to spray up, trying to get that kill onto the Buck. He's not going to get anything.
This fact that Hibana has been unbanned has allowed so much maneuverability for Nip to just pick away at the few reinforcements that actively matter on this map. And I don't know if DZ have had much of an answer for it because most teams play Coastline with a Hibana ban. Very first opening duel that has been won in this map by DarkZero, and it skies onto the remainder of Psycho. You have to assume that his EMPs are gone, so he is a gun that is dropped from the Nip squad. 35 seconds left for Ninjas in Pyjamas to be able to take an advantage. They will at least answer back. On to Mint, who finds himself looking the wrong direction once again, taken out by those holes that were created by his own team. A logic bomb goes off, a kill from Hyper, as DarkZero now back in the lead in terms of numbers. A beautiful shot from Eclipse. Kamikaze gets absolutely smoked. 1 for Skies, and it's a 2-4 scoreline through the first half as DarkZero wins their first attempt at the double bars. They will need to catch that momentum and ride it now as Nip will go on to defense.
That's what you need if you're DarkZero. A absolutely monumental round. It keeps them effectively in this match. If they hadn't been able to get that one, I don't think they had much of a chance. They have to win this map. Reminder, if they don't, it's all over. This is the kill I wanted to see on replay since the moment we missed it, and oh, what a beautiful shot from Skies. That set the tone for the round individually, and it allowed DZ to ride the momentum into a win. Lots of beautiful shots being landed by DarkZero overall, gotta say. So, what happened there? Well, Nip, they avoid the roamers in the main lobby. They start pushing the top floor. They get control open from above. The two anchors, though, in sight for DZ are not picked off. They are not punished. Allowed to maneuver, DarkZero looking a lot better. Their roamers come back to sight, and as Nip are up against the clock, when those roamers come back, it's a 5-on-5 head-to-head in the site. DZ win it. Done deal. No picks there for Nip to lead things into an execution. Kitchen, the first defense for Ninjas in Pyjamas. We'll see how that one goes for them. You know, it's actually not crazy if DarkZero start their comeback here and bring us into an even round count. It's only 2 rounds. It's not that tall of an order for the attackers on Coastline. But still, it's hard to see because there just haven't been many attacking rounds for DZ, or rather, well, to be blunt, there haven't been many rounds for DZ in this whole series. As you mentioned earlier, for a while there it was 4, now it's 5 over 2 maps.
If you go back to the G2 Nip game between them, Nip lost on Hookah, Double Bars, and Penthouse. They never won those sites. They were only successful on Kitchen. So not just were they only successful on Kitchen, but they literally went everywhere else and just did not prevail. So it should be zero surprise to anybody that a Kitchen defense will be the #1 site for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
They'll only get to defend it twice if they're fully successful, though. As I'm sure most of you know, but for those of you who don't, if you win a bomb site, you then have to go to 2 other bomb sites before you can go to it again as a defender. It's that 3-site rotation, forcing the variety.
This has really been a remarkable run, no matter what happens against DarkZero for Ninjas in Pyjamas. The team that was known for Black Dragons for so long, they were on LAN, I would argue, the most successful Brazilian team. Obviously, of course, Liquid winning Atlantic City can give people some debate here, but consistency was very much the name of the game for this team. They had some struggles with the roster. They picked up Musi and Pino. They then had Gohan for just a couple games. They go back to the roster they have right now, and while they were the favorites, or at least considered to be the favorites for a lot of people, in Tokonami, tragedy struck. Now they finally get to unveil this roster at full strength, and they are giving quite a showing to the #2 team in North America. Down goes Pino, opening duel for Mint, as the crawl from Pino gets spotted out. He was in really rough shape. That hard destruction working for DarkZero the same way it did for Nip. And I answer back on the stairs. The cavalry was called for Nip with Julio as well as Psycho engaged. Some damage done to Psycho, but there's still 3 stim pistols from Musi. If he can get away safely, he might be able to give the juice to his teammate. But he'll stay, engage, and down go those stim pistols. I understand the decision, but that could have been a little bit extra insurance policy for Nip.
DZ, a great clear upstairs. The most notable thing, though, is that Nip were giving themselves away. There were 2 kills upstairs on the roam for Ninjas in Pyjamas that were punished very swiftly by DarkZero because DZ were just waiting, holding an angle. They're like, oh, hey, someone's peeking into me. Oh, I'll take that kill, yes, sir. Psycho on low HP, and there's no Doc to heal him up. Here's a run out, though, from Julio, and he evens things out. A 3-on-3 now, so he hit the last 40 seconds of this round.
Keep your eyes on Kamikaze and Julio. G2 fans sure will, especially on this site in the 1vx's that they were able to pull off. But you can't be performing any miracles when you are in the ground. As Kamikaze is disposed of, that was from above. Verticality working in favor of DarkZero. Frag grenade will land, deal a tiny bit of damage to Julio, but nowhere near enough. He's gonna stand and be guard over that service entrance door. He catches the Hibana, doesn't do enough damage. Skies will have to peel off. Hot and Cold and Hyper are still in play as well. Frag grenade will be designed to move Julio around. Psycho is lurking off in the shadows as well, but just with a tiny bit of HP. Skies goes down, 1 for Psycho, and this round is now swung in favor of Nip. And with Julio on the ground, time runs out. You're not getting the kill. The Buck obviously frustrated, but the very first defense for Nip is good enough.
I think Julio probably would have won that engagement regardless. I mean, Julio and winning engagements on service entrance door. Name a better combo. Seriously, because he's been doing it over and over again. And it's the weirdest thing, right? Because he just sits there, holds the door angle, and wins the fights. Now, for those of you confused why that's weird, in Siege, typically the one peeking is the one going to win the fight because they'll gather information. There's that peeker's advantage that is just inherent in engagements in Siege. But not so when it's Julio in service entrance. And he actually put up a pretty big role in that round for Ninjas of Pyjamas when it came to holding out the plant. DZ were looking to try and execute into service. They couldn't get past Julio. Solid defense there for Ninjas of Pyjamas. We'll go to the double bar for the next round. DZ, I'm kind of strange, to be honest, because they cleared top floor so well, and then they started applying pressure to the site. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, they've got this. They got man advantage. The site pressure is real. The anchors are feeling like they have to move. They're right, because most of them died. Most of those anchors for Ninjas of Pyjamas, they were picked off. But Julio's still there. He's still holding on to service entrance, and he locks out that round pretty well.
Nip's had a couple days to shore up their defenses and I guess go in and see what G2 was able to take full advantage of. Where were the weaknesses and where can you fix them? In the same vein, DarkZero has had a couple days to go over all of Nip's defenses and understand where they fell short and how to make the most of those as well. So which team is going to be better prepared? And then if preparation is all the same, which team is going to adapt better? So far in this matchup, it's been Nip. And the one big thing for DarkZero is that by no means has DarkZero played a bad game. DarkZero has been playing very, very well. They have made the right calls. Their game sense has been good. They've been landing their shots. They have made a couple mistakes. But overall, this is not a story of Deezy not showing up and Nip just being present. This is Deezy showing up and playing about as well as you could expect. Not their best, but Nip just being the better team today.
It seems that way. As a lot of, again, even that last round, as I was saying, it looked like DZ was going to win it, and then they didn't. Nip played better. Julio has a hacked drone inside of Office, and he's going to use it for great information. Likely, if he's not on it, one of his teammates will be, and they will call the push from DarkZero. Though it's going to be a nade attempt from Clips. Phone call first. Nade will likely follow it up. Here's the phone call to give away the position. A peek from Julio. Nade goes wide. Julio wasting utility, but he'll lose out on the fight. Skies. Great angle play, expecting it. And he will put his team in the man count advantage. That's really good, especially within a minute.
That was just a logic bomb and a frag grenade. That was it. I'll take that if I'm DarkZero.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do next? You got control of the bottom part of this map. You need to keep that going because the double bar being the site, well, it's also down there. Another kill from DarkZero is now answered as Hot and Cold runs right into Pino and the buck is gone. Skies being on Hibana will very likely hold on to that Defuser. And yes, that's going to be his job. So can he get into the site? We're halfway through. Psycho being killed is a massive blow to Ninjas in Pyjamas. They don't have a Valkyrie at their disposal, so the information they get would rest mostly on the shoulders of that Pulse. Mid from way far out, he gets one, but Pino just continuing this trend of being so strong. 12 kills for him through 8 rounds. That's 2 from the 10 that he had heading in. He's been keeping his team in it.
You talk about Musi, you talk about Psycho, but what about Pino? That's really impressive. He's been landing his shots through this series, and he's been putting up a great performance for his team. DZ, once again, we're in control, but now it doesn't seem like they're in the driver's seat as Eclipse has hit low HP as he attempted to peek into the bomb site. Skies, inside of the kitchen. He has the Defuser. He'll need to get it to the bomb site without getting eliminated. Kamikaze, very aggressive. I don't know if he's been read here. Drone spots him. Oh, that's big. He's still got gas canisters and he's gone. It's all on Pino now, but he'll get eliminated by Skies. DarkZero, they managed to get those rounds when they really need them.
Excellent roam play from DarkZero. The clear was good up top. They methodically flushed out Julio in probably the best way that you could expect with the Dokkaebi, and then follow up. And then from there, they just kept going. Now, Pino obviously had something to say about that, but once he got spotted, there was nowhere for him to go. You can be on the roam as long as you want, but you shut out those remaining members of DarkZero who are up top and not focused on the execute. When the execute comes down, you need to be ready and prepared. He just was not. And speaking of Pino, both him and Musi deserve quite a bit of a spotlight with their role on this team. Psycho, Kamikaze, and Julio have been the core of this squad for years. 4 years. This was the team, those 3 players that went to the Sao Paulo finals in Season 6. This was the team that defeated Penta at arguably the beginning of the peak for Penta as a team. They've subbed out some people. Originally, WOG and PZD made up the 5 players on this team, but they went searching for young Brazilian talent, and that's where they pulled Pino and Musi out of ranked. They were known as ranked stars. People still call Musi the Brazilian Bolo because of the way he plays, and they have had a bit of an adjustment. But once they started to get the hang of that learning curve, they have really flourished in their roles.
This is really actually this super hot debate between Brazilian Bolo and American Musi. That's a really hot one, and it goes deep. Actually, you don't want to get involved. Trust me.
I mean, you got to go with at that point who's older and who's been on the scene longer. That's what you have to go with, because
that's what you think?
I mean, if Bolo's been around longer and has had more prominence, and then Musi shows up afterwards, after Bolo's made his name, I think so. But then if it's the other way around, then you
like
have to go with that one.
Like I said, I'm not going to get involved.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
All that needs to be said is that both Musi and Pino have been able to make up for the fact that Psycho and Kamikaze have been moved more towards support roles, whereas you originally had PZD covering a lot of that, and then WOG, of course, on the team as well, largely being their main support player. The role swaps from NiP have worked out very well. How many games did we see Psycho absolutely take over in support operator roles or capacities? He's not playing as their main fragger. He's playing far back as Valkyrie, and he's still winning 1v4s. Or he's still helping his team win a 2v5. And now, he's allowing the rest of the team to get the kills that they need, while he works with Kamikaze and Julio to steer those 2 young players forward. It's nice to see.
You know, it depends on the round, right? Because sometimes we are seeing, Psycho bringing out like that Jaeger and being in the fragger. But for the most part, yeah, there's a lot of exchange on the NiP side. And overall, it's been a great formula for them. It's working really well. I mean, we're 5-3 for NiP right now. But DZ, again, is still not out of this. There's gonna need to be a concerted effort from DZ in order to take this one, but there's a chance. We're going to the 3rd bomb site for Ninjas of Pyjamas. They haven't been to billiards yet, so we'll see how this one plays out.
Same thing could be said of DZ when they picked up Hyper. If you recall, he was young, he'd just come into the league, he was setting the world on fire, he was statistically the best player in North America for that one season, and DarkZero wasted no time picking him up. Having somebody young be able to learn from veterans, like players like Psycho, Kamikaze, Julio, or like Mint, like Hot and Cold, is huge, and you can get the most out of them. So.
Yeah, I mean, he also had that one LAN a while back. I believe it was a DreamHack. And it was
played DreamHack Austin with the Disrupt Gaming squad.
And that was where he actually, I think, started to really make a name for himself. That was where people started to take notice in a serious kind of note and like, oh wow, we want this guy.
If I remember correctly, he was on the team. I'm pretty sure. I'll be honest with you, I do not have the best, I do not have like a photographic memory of every team that
was a long time ago.
DreamHack Austin in the summer of 2018.
Yeah, that was a good long chunk back there. But it was definitely him. Now, we know he was there at least. Now, this is going to be a billiards hold. Lots of information denial on the side of Ninjas of Pyjamas. We've seen the Vigil brought out quite a lot. When you pair it with a Mazi and a Mute, you're going to have a lot of info denial, and you could just kind of roam wherever you want, because those pieces of utility from the Musi, it's because I'm trying to say Mute and Mazi at the same time. You could actually kind of call it that, really. But then there's an actual player.
When Musi plays Mazi, it happens often.
Yeah, there's a Musi in this match, and there's a Mute and a Mazi, and it's complicated, all right? Now, DZ are going to be able to get past that information wall, but it will take a lot of time. And NiP are wasting quite a lot already.
So as much as Nip can stall out, Deezy is capable of too. This crowd has been very quiet for most of the day, as their two preferred teams, seemingly both Fnatic and DarkZero, have not had the results that they've wanted. Trying to will DarkZero back into this matchup. There was some brief chanting, but that will be it for them. Ever commentated crowd before? Once or twice?
Never.
Really?
Never.
Well, I just did. You should try it. It's quite refreshing.
I'll give it a shot.
Still, DarkZero might read into the setup from Nip and say, well, if you're going to take our drones and you're going to take our information, we can just fight you and wait for you to get impatient. And Nip can be a restless team, especially knowing how close they are to being able to putting away this map. But DarkZero have found something that they don't like. Off, Repel, Hot and Cold will go. Off of the hookah balcony, he will go. Onto the window, upside down. He's got a member of Nip in his sights, but Pino wins it. Shotgun out. The C8 is not good enough. The Vigil will run up, and there he goes. The K1A for 2! Psycho will shut down DarkZero, and then the rest of Nip will put themselves on match point with a flawless round.
That's probably it. It's not done yet, but match point, as Parker said, you can at this point count Deezy out. They might be able to muscle back some rounds here and there, but it's looking a whole lot like map number 1. In fact, we got to this point on map number 1. This 6-3 scoreline is familiar to us. And, well, Deezy couldn't push it past this.
The only defeat that DarkZero has on this map was to FaZe, or rather was to Empire, and they lost it after getting 5 rounds against Empire. The time that Nip played it, they won, they beat G2. Brazil only really had one bright spot in stage 2 after MIBR showed some weakness, and that was Nip, who were fantastic through Group C. Their only real adversary was TSM. Against MIBR, they went out, taking both maps. Against G2, they knocked out the defending world champions with 2 maps. Against TSM, they technically only played 2 maps as well, but they didn't win a single one of them. And then after dropping the first map, I think they stunned a lot of people by taking out Team Liquid with maps 2 and 3. They have looked like an extraordinarily fierce team, and they are now on the precipice of continuing their losers bracket run, in which I believe they will play BDS tomorrow if they prevail here. If is the real point. However, they just won on a site that they have never won on at this tournament on defense.
Yeah.
They are going to play on Kitchen, which they have not lost yet on defense this entire tournament.
It's looking pretty good for Ninjas in Pyjamas and their fans. DarkZero, well, they've had a really spectacular run through this tournament, proving themselves to a lot of fans, and I think making new ones. It could all be over here though, as Ninjas in Pyjamas are not faltering on anything. That last round is a great example. DarkZero were well set up to execute onto the site, I'll be honest. It's another one of those rounds you expect to go the way of Deezy, or you expect to go the way of Nip, and it swings the other direction. We've been having a lot of that through this series. That round swung towards Nip, and it was so pivotal, because now all the pressure is going to get even more extreme for the attacking DarkZero. That's another thing. Yeah, okay, I know. Sometimes this map can go the way of the attack, but it's so uncomfortable to be on attack when match point is against you. It feels like you're the one who has to enact change, and it's harder because of that pressure that mounts by the match point. Not impossible, though, as we always like to say. It's a clear downstairs for Deezy. They're trying to find out if there's any roamers underneath, and then they're going to open up from the side of the site. Looks like they want to go for a kitchen execute, similar to the way that Ninjas in Pyjamas executed on this bomb site the last time DZ defended it. Maybe a kitchen window plant.
Slow and steady as teams do when they happen to be on the edge here. And yes, this is very close to falling for DarkZero. There's a Mira in play. That is interesting. She was unbanned this entire time, and we have not seen her prowess on a map like Coastline. It was mentioned by the analysts that, well, with the amount of soft destruction, Mira is not pivotal here, and we mention this every single time as well, that we tend to cast this map.
She can be, not always.
The one thing that Psycho has always enjoyed doing is playing operators that specialize in information. And of course, Mira is an info operator too. Those two black mirrors will allow her or her teammates to play behind it safely and be able to give tons of information. Hyper finds Julio, down goes the Mozzie. He's great on this site. Another for Hyper, he's just in the middle of it, in the thick of it. Plant going down for Mint. DarkZero read into this very well. C4 goes out, Hyper will only get 3 kills, but Pino with 2. He sees the tracers, knows there's a cross, fires away at the delivery door, but doesn't land the shots needed. Nip will need to retake. A rare miss, as Psycho just sees the breaching round go sailing through blue bar. He's at 3 armor. He will not be able to catch Skies as Skies heads towards the main lobby. Defuser's in a position where DarkZero can watch it, and the timer will continue to tick away. Very quickly, running out of time is Nip. They do not have the kills. They are almost out of time. You have to go for it at this point. Counter disable? No. DarkZero, excellent coverage after they realize they have control of the site. There's still a pulse on the body of this team. They've got a couple more rounds to go before overtime, where that's the situation that they will need to win.
Certainly very close to failure, but a big win there for DZ. The execution onto the site was well read. Ninjas in Pyjamas, too heavy on the roam, and the Anchors unable to deal with that attack. The plan was pretty standard too, over by safe spot. Hyper was the serious start of the show there for DZ. The entry here, those 2 kills, those were pivotal. That allowed the round to go the way of DZ, and even gets one right before being eliminated. Imagine Hyper doesn't land that shot before the C4 lands on him and kills him. DarkZero might not have been able to win that in the post-plant, because then you're at a man disadvantage in a post-plant. Nip might be able to play it a little bit more aggressively, but Hyper, again, with those impact frags.
I cannot make out what they're chanting, by the way.
Nor I.
It sounded like Vamos.
I think it's...
Vamos
No.
Ninjas.
I think it's Let's Go Ninjas. I'm
It was
pretty...
Vamos.
Really? I cannot tell. It's these headphones.
Who knows?
Kitchen service entrance is what we do know. It's the next bomb site here for Nip. Oh, and we actually didn't make note of this, but that was the first time Nip have lost kitchen defense on this map at this tournament. So big win there for DZ, apart from just, you know, it being match point and DZ has to win all of their rounds. It's also, you could consider it an upset, in a manner of speaking. Not done yet, though. Ninjas in Pyjamas setting up on Kitchen with the double information denial. They're bringing a standard array of operators apart from that, Legion to slow down Jaeger to catch those throwables, those projectiles. Smoke's probably going to be anchoring on the site. Plenty of C4 to being brought. That's going to allow you to alleviate some vertical pressure when the enemy attacks from the top floor. Though that was not the execution that DZ brought out last round. Round starts right after that prep phase. We'll see where DZ try to address this. They're probably not going to go for the same thing this time, because whenever either of these teams repeat themselves on an attack strategy, it usually results in them failing.
All right. 30 seconds on in. DarkZero is bringing the same nuisance and annoying lineup that has gotten under the skin of Nip on a variety of sites here.
Yeah.
Hyper has been heating up the longer that this matchup has gone on. He's being confronted by Julio, or rather Julio is being confronted by the upside down rappel of the Buck. They're trying to flush him out, and a member of DarkZero is watching the doorway. C4 gets tossed. It sails past, doesn't connect. Does a tiny bit of damage to Hyper, but doesn't have the result that they wanted. Hyper getting very lucky there, because he could have easily been felled by the explosive. They'll try to see if there's somebody from Ninjas in Pyjamas in that location. The Mozzie is, but instead, Pino has jumped in on the action. He's got the SMG-11 out. If he doesn't get droned, he can get a trade onto Julio. Out goes the explosive, Pino with the opening pick. Now Hyper's still there, as Eclipse had been down, so DZ had called in their own help.
The fact that there's not been a refrag yet. Oh, there is another for Nip. A C4 from Hino. And I was going to say the fact that there's no refrag, it does not bode well for DZ. They are playing a little too scared, and that gets even worse now for DarkZero. We're in the last minute on match point, series point. Nip are in the driver's seat.
And Pino is doing this right now inside of Sunrise Bar. DarkZero is toiling off-site. What are they going to be able to accomplish? Hyper has managed to get away. He had started in Sunrise. If he leans the wrong way, he's dead meat. There's Julio, but it's Psycho to actually get credited with the kill. And DarkZero are staring down a flawless round from Ninjas in Pyjamas with, once again, this matchup on the line. Final 45 seconds, Defuser in the hands of Mint. He still has 2 smokes. Execute as possible. Not much utility from the Ash, and limited drones to work with for this team. Up top, Mint will just continue to roam clear. It looks like Musi is playing in a position where the Dokkaebi might not see. There he is. First kill for DarkZero on the board. Confronting Psycho, 3 for DarkZero. They dominate and own that kill feed. It's now a 2v2. But the Defuser will need to go down as Pino, the star of the show, picks up his 3rd kill. And that's it. Lights out for DarkZero. The Ninjas strike. They move on. DarkZero go home. That's the end of one of our final 3 North American teams.
Pino, the absolute star of the show there for Ninjas in Pyjamas. A tremendous win. And DarkZero really not showing up strong to that match. Ninjas in Pyjamas will face BDS later on to try and get out of that loser bracket.
Pino with 19 kills. Good Lord, that boy showed up today on both of these maps. A tremendous effort from him and the rest of his team. And of course, those 19 kills are not just all his. You have to thank the people who drone him in. You have to thank the defenders that are able to give him information. And Nip were extraordinary today with their calls. Their shot calling was on point. They were able to beat around the defenses that were structured by DarkZero, and structured quite well, if we do say so ourselves. DZ played about as well as you'd imagine them to. But Nip, in almost every sense, were better than DZ. That's it for us. We have the winners down on the stage, so we'll toss it to Anna.
Thanks, guys. I think I did hear that chant. Your fans were singing, Vamos Ninjas. Do you have anything to say to them?
Just appreciate, thank you guys. Brasil, porra!
Now that you've won this match, tomorrow you will face BDS. How do you feel about that matchup?
Like, we didn't study them yet, but we know we had everything to do to beat them.
You did so well in this match. What strength do you think you really showed off this time in this matchup?
I think we are a lot of, we are fast. We are fast and have gunners. I think just this.
I see that you're wearing something special here. Tell me why you're wearing this.
Yeah. Last Invitational, when I entered the stage, I entered with the Brazilian flag too. I think it gave us power, you know. Brazilian people like this too, so it's good.
What does it mean to you to represent your country on a stage like this?
It's really nice. It's more than I expected, you know. I just play, but I just don't think like that. Like, I represent a country, you know, but like, I love you guys from Brazil. Woo!
I think they love you too, don't they? Let's hear it one more time for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and we'll head back to you at the desk. Thank you, very well done.
Thank you so much, Anna. And yes, in day number 1 here on the actual final stage, an American team here, North American team, has been knocked out. NIP are still in Latin America playing. APAC are out as well, with Fnatic being defeated earlier, and BDS remain as EU's last hope. Still possible.
It is still possible. It is a shame that this isn't a full representation that we're having go through, but it's damn close, and I think we're going to be really lucky to see so many regions fight it out.
I think NIP should start bringing Pyjamas to, you know, complement the good nights they're delivering.
Yeah, it was a bit of a snooze fest at some point in it. And yeah, NIP were really dominating through map 1 and through map 2. It seemed like they had everything figured out against DarkZero on map 2 Coastline. At the half, they went 4-2, and then they had the switch. It seemed like on defense, they slipped off around here and there, but this is what usually happens with NIP, right? Failing to close a game when they're ahead, but they still have the flexibility to continue with the series.
I agree, and we spoke about verticality before, and I'm a little bit saddened to say that they didn't quite bring it in force like I wanted them to, but when that verticality didn't work for them, they turned around and went, okay, we're going to work our drones, we're going to work out our coordination, and we'll start pinching the sites through doorways, mere windows, by just coordinating our push. So I think that coordination was phenomenal to see.
They ended up getting an immense amount of kills by shooting DC players in the side or back, or having a two-way crossfire where they simply wouldn't peek until DC started doing something, and then they would completely commit, right? So a lot of the gunfights weren't actual 1v1s where DC had that much of a chance to fight back.
This is one of the rare cases where the entirety of NIP were lurking all at the same time. And I really want to point the specific word of lurking versus roaming, because you're just sitting there waiting for information from your teammates. There's someone on drone that's basically just sitting on site, flicking through cameras to give you that sort of information. And then, as Alex was saying, you know where the moment is to pounce and grab the kill. You have the crossfire, easy peasy. And it seemed like DarkZero had no way of really responding to NIP. What was happening with DarkZero there?
I think DarkZero is very clinical, like we said before, and I think that clinical gameplay really let them down. Those phasing, those sectioning, it didn't matter about the sectioning in the end, because if you're trying to engage someone and you let them slip away every time, your sectioning doesn't matter anymore. So those players were able to get away, they were able to have impact in other parts of the map that should have had their rotates cut, and that's Deezy's problem.
The same goes for utility, right? If you have this execute plan where you want to save your utility for the latter part of the game,
exactly.
It doesn't help if you need to overcome two players that are playing in corners. Like, you got to dump some utility to even get to that stage, and I feel like they didn't do that well enough. They need to use it earlier. It's better you lose a player or two, and then, you know, at least your utility has been used.
Yeah, we saw that in the last round where between the Musi and the Mute, they got in position, held on to Sunrise Bar for so long, and the reaction from DarkZero was too slow. But the player that was actually holding on to that angle was Pino, and that is our highlighted player of the matchup. So here's his stats. Played a lot of Buck. We said that is going to be a very important operator, maybe something DarkZero should be banning. And on defense, it's mostly the Mute. 1.64 rating, plus 17 KDR, and positive, immensely positive on opening kills.
I can't explain the impact that Pino has as a player. His utilization of shields on defense is just insane. He didn't use the shotgun a lot, actually, with Mute. He did actually decide to run the usual main weapon there, and unfortunately for his team, he wasn't able to use Buck the way that you would traditionally use Buck. Instead, he used grenades, he found angles that worked, he opened up the floor, which his teammates more used than him, and I think in the end, Buck is just a comfort pick for him, and it's used really well.
I mean, not only did he get quite a decent amount of opening kills, but every time he got an opening kill, there was players ready to help, you know, really get a compounding action of him doing that, right? So he'll get an opening kill, and instantly you have 2 or 3 people actually trying to commit to getting this room now.
So what do you see NIP moving forward? They, of course, have won their matchup here today, which means that they'll be playing, of course, tomorrow. They'll be going up against BDS, a Latin America versus EU matchup. NIP, in the previous system of their rosters, Black Dragons, played against Penta Sports 2 years ago in that semi-final.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for BDS. Actually, they had a great game today. I think a lot of that came down to them just having a superior play style. Realistically, I don't think their players were that much better overall, but I think they'll just struggle against a team like NIP.
All right, well, here's our bracket, by the way, to recap everything that's happened so far. Today, we had the lower bracket round for the playoffs. BDS beating Fnatic 2-0, very fast game, and NIP DarkZero doing the same. The Ninjas advance and play against BDS. TSM and Space Station Gaming, of course, have won on the top of their bracket in the playoffs and even in the groups, making it forward. So here they are in the upper bracket. They still have a chance to make it to the grand final, even if they lose, one of them that is, but TSM Space Station will be one of the big matchups to look at tomorrow.
I'm excited to see what the final is going to look like, because with NIP playing like they are right now, that can be one very, very interesting match.
I'm kind of worried that either TSM or SSG will come into a fight against NIP, for example, and go, oh, I'm underprepared. And they're going to lose a lot of rounds in a row. And we know what happens historically with teams who lose a lot of rounds in a row. And we saw it in group stages. that compiles, that snowballs, and suddenly players lose a lot of traction and they're out.
You know, BDS and NIP have both fixed their issues through the tournament and through the past 6 months, Alex. Is this going to be like a really big clash of two playstyles that are similar, or how do you see it?
I'm not sure, man. I think BDS is going to struggle with the aggressiveness of NIP. Like, they can match them to a certain extent when it comes to aggressiveness, but NIP's teamwork has seemed way, way, way better. Their communication has seemed faster. They seem just in general to communicate better in the team. So I'm scared for BDS.
I'm scared for them as well, and goodness me, if you're going up such fast gunners, and I'm so glad we saw the interview as well confirm my thoughts that they also think they are fast. We can see it, they can feel it, that's their intent of playing extremely fast, so it's good to see such a keen and obvious play style come out, and that is their style, and that's the LATAM style.
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for today from us here at the Analyst Desk. So a bit of a quicker day, to say the least. Wonderful show match benefiting charity. And of course, 2 matchups in our lower bracket that ended with EU and Latin America making it forward to face off against one another in our matchup tomorrow. Though, thank you very much for watching. Everybody here in the stadium still, thank you so much as well for being here. I know it's really cold outside, but we'll see you in the morning from all of us here, casters, hosts, analysts, and of course, Ubisoft and ESL. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 11:40 a.m. local time here, Eastern. We love you. Good night.